welcome to this tutorial video. In this tutorial video, I'll be showing you how to knit scrappy socks. Scrappy socks is where you change color a lot, so you get a fun variety of colors or maybe even patterns in your sock. It's especially fun if you're using variegated or stripy sock yarns that will give you even more variety. Now in this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to weave in your ends without sewing them. And I have sewed them for the toe because with the toe increases it's a little bit too much to multitask, at least for your first scrappy pair. But for the foot portion I am weaving them in as I go without a sewing needle. So I'm just weaving them in between my stitches and then just snip them. So I will be showing you how I do that. In the sock that I am knitting, I'm using the same color for 3 rounds before switching. You may also want to knit more rounds. That is totally up to you, but I would advise to not go lower than 3 because otherwise this method will not work. So I'm using the method of wrapping floats, the same way as you do for color work. If you have never knit color work, if you've never wrapped floats before, no worries, I'm going to show you all of that in this video. But it's the very same technique. So you wrap floats on every stitch while you are incorporating your next color or while you're weaving in the ends of your previous color. I am just about to join my next color, so you can go ahead and join me for that. I would advise you to just watch the tutorial video first, and then if you want to knit along with me, then make sure that you have your toe ready and that you are working on the foot portion of your sock, or if you are working cuff down, that you have cast on the cuff and are now ready to start your next color. Be sure that if you are working cuff down, that you also knit 1 row plain after the cuff before joining a new color. Otherwise you might see that. All right, let's get knitting. All right, so this is my sock up until now, and I'm midway through the 3rd round with my current color, and I am going to join a new color. So it's the 2nd half of this round, and I'm going to join a new color. First, I'm going to knit until I'm about 2/3 of this needle. You don't have to be counting your stitches, just so that you have about 1/3 of your needle, that you have 1/3 of your stitches left. And I'm going to join a new color, and I am going to do that by wrapping the new yarn, which is this color. I'm going to wrap that in the final stitches of this round, and I'm going to hold my current color. So I'll be calling this my current color and my new color. So with my current color, I am going to be knitting throwing style. That means with the yarn in my right hand. With the new color, I'm going to be holding it at the back of my work and then holding it with my left hand. So first, I'm leaving about 15 centimeters, so that's about 6 inches, and I'm holding it here. I'm going to hold this new color in my left hand, and you can wrap it around your fingers, or you can hold it in any way that you like. I'm holding it by wrapping it around my pinky finger, then going underneath it with my index finger and turning my palm. And now I'm holding the yarn in place with my middle finger and thumb. So now my right hand is free. Be careful to pick up your current color and not the tail of your new color. Okay, so here's where we begin. With our right needle, we are going to insert into the next stitch and also go underneath the new color. You might
I'm doing knit 5, weave a hook, okay, so right now I'm at 2. This is just a plain old scarf. So we'll be knitting while we learn.
Might have to tilt your left hand like this so that it's less easy to slide off the needle. Then with your current color, you wrap around the needle as you usually would, and you go through the stitch. Then the next stitch, you knit as normally. That is it. And now when we see the back of the work, you see that the new color has been wrapped underneath the current color. Okay, let's do that again. So we go into the next stitch underneath the new color, then we wrap the yarn around and pull through. See, now it is laying on top of our stitch there. And when we knit the next stitch as normally, when wrapping the yarn, you see that you are wrapping the new yarn as well. See that? So when you wrap your yarn around the needle to knit the next stitch, you have wrapped it around the new yarn as well. And you repeat this until you reach the end of the row. There. For the last stitch, I'm not going to wrap it anymore because otherwise it might show on the outside. So I'm just knitting that as normally. Okay, so now we have woven the new color through the stitches of the current color. And you might see this a little bit through the stitches here, but if we take both ends of the new yarn, we can pull it to the side a little bit, and then it will be less visible. Okay, so we just tuck this end in there, and now we will be starting the next round using our new color. And to do that, make sure that your old color is, just have to move it to your left side so that this yarn will go over that strand. And this next round we will just knit as normally. So we are completely disregarding the old color here and just starting with the new color. Here you can see where I wrapped some other yarns. And it's still a little bit visible if you knit across, but once you've knit a couple rows, because I've done that for every color here, it's not completely invisible, but you won't really be able to tell. So we knit this row around just as we normally would. I am knitting continental style, but obviously you don't need to. For the wrapping, you will be knitting throwing style. There, that's the first half. And now the second half, which is also knit as you normally would. Okay, here we come across where we wrapped this yarn. We are just going to knit across these stitches. And the last stitch of this round will be very loose. See, it's very loose. But we can tug on the old color to cinch that back in. Like that. Now is the start of the second round. And in the second round we will be wrapping both the old color and the new and the current color. Okay, so what that looks like is you're starting this round. You take the tail of your old color, taking it in my left hand like this, and the first stitch I'm just knitting as I normally would, because if I wrap this yarn on the first stitch, then you might see that on the side. So the first stitch I'm just wrapping as normally, or I'm working as normally, And then for the second stitch, I will be wrapping the old color. And I have a trick to make this even easier. So you go into the stitch and then underneath the yarn that you want to wrap. And to make it easier, you can move your index finger to the front. I might need some more tension for that. So you can move it to the front so that it's easier to wrap. See? But you can also just still go underneath the yarn like this and then wrap it. It has the same effect. Then the next stitch, we knit as normally, and by doing that, we are wrapping the other color once more. And then you just, see, I'm moving my index finger forward. I find that a little bit easier. And we are just wrapping the old color every other stitch. See? Okay, I'm going to stop wrapping the yarn now because we are at 1/3 of this needle, so that's enough. I'm going to break this yarn, and now we are knitting to the end of the first needle, and now we are knitting the second needle. And I'm just going to see where, okay, so here is our current color yarn tail. And in order to wrap these yarns so that we don't have to sew them in, we want to weave them in both ways. So now we have woven in this yarn in this direction and the old yarn in this direction. And for both yarns, we are going to wrap them in the other direction as well. So I'm just going to knit up until that stitch right here, just above where this yarn tail is hanging. Let's check. Yes, that's about here. I'm at this stitch and that's just above the yarn tail. Okay, so then I take the yarn tail in my left hand, and there might not be enough to wrap, so I'm just holding it like this. I mean, there might not be enough length to fully wrap around my pinky finger. So with the next stitch, I'm also going to wrap this yarn. Be sure not to pull too tightly here, otherwise you might pucker the fabric here. So we just wrapped this yarn. That means the next stitch is knit as normally. For the third stitch, we wrap again. Next stitch, we work as normally. And it's again the same technique. And you just keep doing this until the until you only have one stitch left. Or actually, no, I have 2 stitches left now, and I would be wrapping the yarn again now, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to be wrapping yarns on the end of the round. Okay, so this yarn has now been wrapped 2 times, which means that it is done now and it can be cut later. I'm not going to cut it yet, and I'll tell you why in a minute. First, let's also finish wrapping this yarn. All right, so we are starting the 3rd round, and in this round we are wrapping the old color from left to right. And this is a little bit different because the yarn tail is here. So how are we going to wrap that at the beginning of the round? You take your yarn like this and you hold it with your middle finger against the fabric, basically creating a loop. You want to keep the loop a little bit big so that it's easy to knit into, but if you only have a short yarn tail, then you might not be able to you might not be able to create a big loop. So just take that into account. The first stitch I am knitting as I usually would, and then, oh, okay, and then, so this is a little bit advanced, but for the second stitch, I can see here that I wrapped the yarn there the previous round. So I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to knit this one as well. And then I'm going to wrap the old color in the third stitch. Just because if you wrap a yarn at the same place for 2 consecutive rounds, you might see that more easily. So I am wrapping the yarn and then knitting a stitch as I normally would, and continuing this. And you can see that I'm going to have a lot of yarn left over, but that's okay. We can pull that tight. So just continue until you get to the other end of the loop. Okay, like this. So to get rid of this loop, I'm simply going to tug on this yarn tail very gently because you don't want to pucker the fabric. There, I'm going to leave it at that. And now you can finish this needle. All right, and now we are back where we started. So on the next round, I am going to incorporate my next color because I'm only knitting 3 rounds per color. But of course, if you want to knit a big chunk of each color, then you can just repeat this process whenever you are in the last round of your current color and you want to be switching to a new one. So then you can start this video over. Right, so those were the basics of wrapping your yarn when you're knitting a scrappy sock. And when you've done a couple of colors, you can go ahead and snip off the earlier ones. I wouldn't snip off the ends as soon as you weave them in, because with following rows, you might, you are lifting the stitches, so you might be undoing a little bit of your weaving in. A couple rows down, I have some more ends, and I can just cut them now, and that's it. So this is very satisfying. It's a very fun technique, and it makes knitting scrappy socks just a little bit more enjoyable. And I'm going to leave you with some more expert advice, because I'm going to show you the beginning section of the sock, which doesn't look as neat. So if you look at this section right here, you see that it is a little bit choppy, a little bit zigzaggy. Can you see how the new color, for example, this light green here, these stitches are a little bit larger. And that's also where I wrapped yarns, same as here. So why are we not seeing those here? Well, that's because I was wrapping the yarns on different rounds. The trick is that you don't want to be wrapping yarns in your first round of the new color, because in the first round of the new color, you're going to be knitting across stitches of the old color, and with wrapping yarns, you're just pulling a little bit on stitches below, and the stitches that you knit in your current row are just going to be a little bit bigger. And when you do that in the first round of a new color, you are going to see that. When you are doing that in the second round or third round, you will not be seeing that. What I used to do was just pick up a new color and join it without wrapping it in first, and then just knitting my first round, and then when I came to the end of that first round, I would take that strand and weave it in. But yeah, it shows. So just make sure that you're not wrapping any yarns in the first round of a new color. Every other round is fine. The second, third, fourth, whatever last round of a color, all of that is fine. Just the first round of a color, you do not want to be wrapping yarns, because it will look like this. Another thing that I really want you to remember is to not do it too tightly, because I think otherwise the fabric might pucker if you go to block your socks or, you know, wash your socks. So don't do it too tightly. Don't wrap your yarns around the first round, and don't snip off your yarns as soon as you weave in the end. So wait a couple rounds and then cut off your ends. And that's it. I hope you will enjoy knitting your scrappy socks. And if you're wondering about the color order of these socks, because this is K Piece Metropolis yarns, I have written them down. So please do check the description box of this video where you can find that color order. All right, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Hi again. I thought I would show you how this sock looks now because I've completed the first sock, and you can see that I've knit the heel and the cuff in just a singular color. I could have done a scrappy heel, but frankly I didn't want to bother, so I could have done that, but I chose not to. And I have blocked the sock, and you can still see the weaving in ends a little bit, especially here where I didn't use my expert method. So it's not completely invisible, and this may look nice, but you'll notice a difference when you look at the other side, because all of the wrapping has been done here, because here is my beginning of the round. So this was at the end of the round where we wove in the beginning strand, or the new color, and here was the start of the round where we, you know, also wove in ends. So yes, all of the weaving in ends happens here. I'm gonna try and see if I can make this my left sock, and that I weave in the ends on the other sock on the other side, so that I have the ugly side, no, the not very neat side, I have those on the insides of my feet. So, but still, I am very, very pleased. I think it looks great. Some notes on
Oh, she looks like she just got zooted.
the heel.
There you go.
I
Oh, okay. Once you find the other end that comes off, that goes around and around, you don't want to keep, because when you have to keep doing this, keep turning here, and just going to do that and do all that, right? No. You have one end, you have that one. So you know that it's not inside the center. But you know that there's another one that's in there. So you poke your finger, kind of like dancing and kind of playing it, and you poke your finger to the other side too, kind of like wiggle, squiggle your way to find the center. Wiggle, squiggle. You can shove an extra finger in there. You like, see my thumb is in there at the same time. Right? Okay, now I met my other finger. There's like a couple of strands of yarn right there. And that's what I'm going to grab, because you don't want to grab everything there. You just want the heart of the yarn. Right? So you just, you don't see it yet, but we know it's coming. And baby, don't make me look like a lot, y'all. Look at it right there. Right, so you can pull up the rest, because it's going to be all of that going to be connected to that one, right? If you want to, see? There's the real heart. Then you take the rest of it. If you're right-handed, put it towards your left-hand side. Why do I say that? Because as you're knitting, you're going to be pulling from the side. It's a hassle. If you put it on this side, then you're going to have to start doing this every time you... You're not a typewriter, so put it over here. Just put it up high, so that way it just kind of falls all down. In case you guys are curious. There you go. Remember that hole I told you about? I love that freaking hole. Look, Green is out. I mean, he's like barely making it. He can't even stand on his own. And this here is scrunchie. I made a scrunchie. Is this the one I made with you guys? No, not live. Not live. Then this is another invention I have. It's kind of like a hat. And you see the what do you call this? Hold up. What do you call this? Can you see it? The scrunchie. The scrunchie, the elasticity. Hold on, let me put you down. Can you see that? Hey, look, the scrunchie is worn out. Can you see that? It's worn out. Look. Did you hear that? It's done. Look at it. Broke. Finito. So you know what I'm about to do? I'm about to undo this. Maybe not today's thing, but maybe I will. Who knows? This is one of my first ones I could tell because look at how I ended it. On the inside, it looks like at the top of which I don't know if you can see that here. But it's not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be just a nice little circle. So I just pushed it in. And that's the side everybody sees. Okay? So maybe later I'll get around to doing that with you guys. Maybe. But for now, we're going to proceed with the white. Right? Let the lady speak on. Thank you for all 2 people that are here right now. Even if you ain't talking, I love the fact that you're here. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Start at the heel. After I have
everything I knit, all my scars and everything goes to open work, helping hands, and gifted hands. And when I make dog toys, it goes to ACC. I have a bag full of them. I haven't dropped them off. I haven't even logged in the time in making them. But it's just balancing part stewardship, so that's active, like active duty. And then there's this. I'm trying to do this because my other channel with 18,000 subscribers is doing okay right now. It's on a hibernation mode. Everybody's outside. Sometimes I get depressed and I'm not so motivated, so I'm not going to touch the channel. So I feel better. I do post every day there though. These last couple of days have been tough cookie for me. You guys know, if you've been watching, my mouth is not exactly in the best of health right now, but I don't give a doggone darn. Here as I is, because God says so. And here I continue it until he says no or no. Anyway, here we go.
had fully completed one color.
By the way, I do have a question. Do any of you guys make socks? And can I ask, honestly, do you think those people are going to appreciate it and take care of those socks? Do you think, does anybody else think that making socks may be a waste of time? Maybe. I'm just wondering. If not, you're entitled to your own opinion. I just think it is. I'm sorry. I see that every time I see somebody get socks. I'm sorry, I can't help it. But anyway, here we go.
So when you are starting to incorporate a new color, I did not do that. I did the heel. And then because I had to be turning my work and work on the purl side, I did not wrap those floats because when I'm on the purl side, I'm still not sure quite exactly how to wrap floats. And after the heel is done, I did the kind of a medium purple stripe, and you'll see that at the back of the sock, at the heel side, I only did 2 rounds there. That was because I knit across the back of the heel in the what would have been the first round there. And that was just so I could keep the weaving and ends all on the same side. If I would have knit 3 full rounds of that medium purple, then my weaving and ends side would have switched from this side to this side. And that's fine. But I thought I want to keep the not so neat part on only one side of my sock. So yeah, just some notes. That is exactly what I did. So if you're wondering, how did Carmen do that with the heel, then now you know. And then a quick note on the ribbing. I did 1 round of stockinette, so 1 round of knitting with the blue yarn before I started the ribbing, because if you switch color and then directly or immediately do ribbing, then for the purl stitches you'll have this kind of color change in there, and I don't really like that, so that is why I knit one round plain first.
This is going to be funny because this is not the same material. This is why it's important that you always have about the same amount or another pack of it. Anyway, I'm going to proceed anyway. It might look cool. It feels warmer than this. Even though this is not 100% wool, I think it's mostly polyester, but it has some wool soft. So that's good. My fingers are kind of sensitive sometimes, and I don't know, it just feels really sensitive with these two guys. Okay. Anyway, these guys here. This feels like a cloud. This is cool. Alright, let me proceed.
So those are just some extra notes about these scrappy socks. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you next time.
Bound podcast. This is episode 25. My name is Ali and I am coming to you today from Adelaide, Australia, where it is a beautiful sunny winter's day today. It is Saturday the 10th of August and we are nearing the end of winter and spring is in the air. I have washing out on the line today outside and I am so excited about the sunshine, about things growing again. I'm starting to see little buds on my fruit trees. They haven't blossomed yet, but any day now, I think. I live here with my husband, our two sons, and our dog Shorty. We also have a few chickens that I like to talk about and share about occasionally as well. But this podcast is predominantly about knitting. It is about the things that I love to make, it is about the things that I want to make, and the things that come into my house and take over my yarn room. There's lots of yarn, lots of coffee, and I think we need to just get into it today because I do have a lot to share with you. It has been quite a few weeks now since my last episode, my full format podcast episode, but I did check in with you a couple of weeks ago to share with you about my recent trip to Bendigo. My last episode talks all about that, and feel free to check that out if you wish. Before we do get started, I just wanted to let you know that you can find me online on Instagram as Fiberbound, and I am also on Ravelry as Alipay, where I try to update all of my project details as regularly as I can. The links to all of my project pages. I did talk about this definitely in the last full episode, in episode 24, but I have finished it since we finished it on the 13th of her stash too, just in case I needed it. Absolutely amazing. My husband will wear those. Yes, my husband will wear these. They will go in his boots. No one will actually see them except him when he's putting them on and taking them off. These are knit in West Yorkshire Spinners Collab DK weight sock yarn. Now I do have a label for a different colorway with me, so let me let you know what this yarn is. So this is actually the label for the yarn that I used. It's West Yorkshire Spinners. Now it is 75% British wool, 25% nylon. It's a 150 gram ball, which is perfect for DK weight socks for my husband because, as you can see, he likes a long leg. And this has 337 meters and 367 yards per ball. And this was in the colorway Pop, I believe. I think it was called Pop. If that's wrong, I'll pop it on the screen. Now, I knit my husband's DK weight socks on a 48 stitch count on 3.25 millimeter needles. I do all of my DK weight socks on 3.25s. And I knit these on Chalgu bamboo needles. I really wanted to try out the bamboo needles, so I picked up a set when I bought this yarn. I still have my hair in my nose, apologies for scratching. I tried the bamboo 9-inch circulars for this sock, and I also picked up a 32-inch fixed needle in the 3.25 millimeter or US 3, I think it's a US 3 size, for the heel flap, the toe decreases, that sort of thing. I did really enjoy using those needles and have picked them up in the 2.25 millimeter size that I would knit my fingering weight socks in as well, but I haven't used those yet. But yeah, they were fun to try out, and I figured, I think I spoke about this before. I feel like I'm repeating myself. Maybe I was talking to a friend. I wanted to try the...
Is she just gonna go back on the socks? We want to see how things are made, lady. Love you, appreciate you, but not right now. Goodbye.
the beginnings
This
of a
baby
no frills
has a
cardigan.
hard face,
No frills
but she has
cardigan
a
by
lot to do
Petite
with
Knit.
it.
This is my no frills cardigan. No frills cardigan by Petite Knit Hi, hello, my name is Allie, and I have finally finished knitting the no frills cardigan by Petite Knit. I'm coming to you today from just outside Toronto with my beautiful mug made by my very talented friend Jessica Bromley Bartram. I will link her shop below. And in it, I'm currently drinking Bigelow Botanicals Blackberry Raspberry Hibiscus, which according to this is a cold water infusion. So we're breaking the rules today. And I think we're allowed to do that because today is a very special occasion, because if you have been here before, you will have seen the No Frills cardigan by Petite Knit that has been a work in progress in every single one of the podcast episodes that I have ever posted. But in case you're just joining now, to catch you up, the reason this has taken me forever is because this is a duster length cardigan knit in DK weight, and it's slow going. And the thing is that I feel like this cardigan being done is such a momentous occasion in the world of my channel that it deserved its own video. You know, I could not relegate this to a finished object at the end of my next regular podcast episode. I felt like, Cobber, I felt like it really kind of deserved its own moment. And I also feel like this is the kind of project that I've heard a lot of people talk about being interested in knitting something like this, but doubting it, questioning it, being afraid to cast it on. And I thought maybe it would be useful and kind of fun to go down a little trip down memory lane to revisit my process of knitting this sweater from the very beginning, and you can kind of see the highs, the lows, and either just have fun going along for that journey, or maybe it'll help you decide if it's one that you might want to embark on. So this video is going to be kind of a project vlog, sort of a mashup, sort of giving an abridged version of the project updates that I gave each time that I talked about it, and also cutting in my perspective from now that I've finished it and my reflections on the whole process. Okay, so one last time, let's run through these project stats. This is the No Frills cardigan by Petite Knit. This is a pattern that accommodates up to a 59-inch bust, which is close to being quite good on the size inclusive front, but I would love to see that pushed a little bit further. And I knit the extra small. This pattern cost 45 Danish kroner, which converted out to about $9 Canadian. Also of note is that I knit this on 4.5mm needles rather than the 4mm needles recommended in the pattern in order to meet gauge. In terms of materials, I knit this out of a combination of We Are Knitters Touch Me Mohair, which one last time, it's not mohair, it's not mohair. It is 54% baby alpaca, 22% super kid mohair, there it is, and 24% mulberry silk. I paired this in the color mustard with the Knitting for Olive merino, also in the color mustard. Now, you'll notice I have an entire untouched one of these left. I got a few. I have two completely untouched and one that's like barely touched. Like I think that actually, if I hadn't, spoiler, ended up ripping back some of the length of this cardigan, I wouldn't have touched that ball at all. So the only yarn that got used from that one barely used ball is yarn that is now like wound up in a separate little ball somewhere because it didn't end up staying in the cardigan. So I have a ton of this left over. I originally bought 8 of these balls, and these are giant. These are 50 grams of mohair. They're roughly double the yardage of the merino. So these are giant, and I have basically 3 of the 8 of them that I bought left over. As far as the merino, I bought 10 of these, and I have about 40 grams left of this ball. Now, these are 50-gram balls, so I didn't use a lot of this last one. Again, if I hadn't knit extra length that I then ripped out, I don't think that would have needed this at all. So there's definitely some spares left over. So in all, I actually used 9 balls of the merino and 5 of the mohair. So adding all that up, I spent about $230 on yarn, that's Canadian dollars, or 240 Canadian by the time you add in the pattern cost, and converted out to US, that's about $175. Now, if I'd actually known the correct amount of yarn that I would use and ordered only that, that would have saved me about $40 on this project. So I definitely am gonna have some projects that I need to come up with to do with the spare yarn, but overall, with that total amount spent, I mean, considering the overwhelming amount of cardigan here, I feel okay with that number. It's obviously a really big number, but it's also a really big cardigan, and truthfully, like if I were to try to buy something like this in a store made out of comparable materials, it would not have been cheaper. So the No Frills cardigan is a top-down raglan style construction that is knit flat. You don't have to do steeking or anything like that. And you also knit the button band at the same time, so you don't have to pick up stitches at the end and do that as the very last step, which thank goodness that would not have gone well for me. Now, of course, I am going to stand up and show you the finished cardigan in all its glory, but I think we should work our way there. We're gonna go all the way back to January, because I first cast this project on January 5th, and I finished it on July 25th. So the whole time I was kind of roughly estimating 6 months for this project, and that was pretty accurate. I think at the end, there were definitely things that if certain mishaps hadn't occurred, I could have finished this quite a bit sooner. I probably could have been done closer to the 5-month mark, but as things kind of became problems, as annoying things came up, I did find myself motivated by that 6-month deadline. I was like, this cannot take more than 6 months. In no world is that allowed to happen. So that was definitely a little bit of a helpful deadline for the end of this project to keep it under 6 months, and under 6 months it was, barely. All right, let's do it. It's time to travel back to the very dawn of Allie Makes Everything, where, you know what, I hope this gives you some appreciation for the fiddling that I've done to try to figure out how to make my footage look better. So enjoy seeing what it used to look like. So I got this nice bag, and out of it, we are going to pull
the beginnings of a no-frills cardigan from Petite Knit. I had a very specific color in my head that I wanted this cardigan to be. So Knitting for Olive has mohair that is designed to go with basically all of their merinos. But I feel like this is a sort of like very middle of the road mustard, where it's kind of halfway between like a sunny orangey yellow and like a muddy, like really browny mustard yellow.
I love her.
It's very sort of in the middle, but their matching mohair, we put that in quotes, matching mohair was very much on like the brownie mustard side. And I was like, I feel like when I combine those, the sweater is not going to be the color that I want it to be. And it was like a quest. Like I had this yarn for months to find the mohair that I wanted to pair with it. But I eventually found worked out very well because We Are Knitters was having a sale where a few colors of their Touch Me mohair was like off. So this just happened to be one of them, and it's perfect. It's the exact color that I wanted. But when I did my gauge swatch, this was around the time that I like really figured out, like, oh, I'm a tight knitter. The pattern is supposed to be knit on 4mm needles. So having figured this out about myself, I actually gauge swatched at a 4.5mm needle, which worked out perfectly. It gave me good gauge. Actually, my stitch count was perfect. My row gauge was still small, a little bit, not a ton, but I figured that this cardigan is a very long cardigan, and I feel like just like under the weight of itself, that will probably make up for the row gauge. This is what I'm thinking. And at least so far when I try it on, like I haven't been having any issues with like the shoulder area. Like I figured if this gauge was going to get me in trouble anywhere, it was going to be at the shoulders, right? That like the armholes would be too small, but I tried it on and that hasn't been a problem at all. So I think that it's fine there. My gauge was good, but here's the thing. I gauge swatched for this again a couple months before I actually started working on it. And so by the time I went to cast on, I could not remember which needle size I had swatched on for sure. And I thought, well, I'm pretty diligent with my Ravelry, and I didn't make a note that I had swatched at a particular needle size. So surely that must mean that I just followed the pattern's recommended needle size, right? That would make sense, right? It would make sense. It was not true. It wasn't a ton of knitting. It was maybe a couple hours of knitting. But when I started the stockinette, very quickly became apparent that this was the wrong gauge. That in fact I had swatched on a 4.5mm needle. I had in fact just not written it down, and I had in fact screwed myself over in this way. So back we ripped and started again, which was also interesting because the sweater just starts in a way that was unexpected to me. I mean, I don't have a ton of knitting experience, right? I've only been knitting for a couple years, and it was just a construction that I'd never encountered before. I had to learn the Judy's Magic Cast On. It was my first time doing that, and then it was just not what I expected it to be. Like you basically knit like here, and then you knit here, and then you pick up here to start your stockinette. And it was just strange. So it was funny because the second time I did it, it made a lot more sense now that I understood what was going on. But I'm quite pleased with how the sweater is coming along. So I cast this on about 2 weeks ago. Today's a Saturday. I cast it on a Friday, so just over 2 weeks. And I finished the raglan. I split for sleeves, and I got this much of one sleeve. I kind of figured I would start for sleeves both. Well, actually for several reasons. So one, just to get them over with, I feel like sleeves are, well, normally sleeves are not my favorite part. I don't love a small circumference, but because this is a cardigan, the sleeves are knit in the round, but the body is not. And, you know, like I think a lot of people, I much prefer knitting the round. So it was kind of like, oh, I can knit in the round after doing all this knitting flat. Let's take a break from the flat knitting. So there was that. And there's also the fact that I do want this to be really long. I think I have plenty of yarn, but then again, I often think that, and then I end up having to order more yarn. So my thinking is I can do the sleeves, get them to the length I want them to be, and then I can just kind of not worry about rationing my yarn, making sure I'm running out of yarn. Like I can just knit the body until I run out of yarn or until it hits the floor, whichever comes first. So I thought I would get that done. It does mean that I have a lot of yarn tails coming out of this garment right now because I have 2 balls connected to the sleeve and 2 balls still connected to the body, but it's looking pretty good. So I just tried to put this on, and I actually cannot the way that I currently have it, so I stopped for reasons unknown. I stopped knitting the body like in the middle of this row, so it means that like the break in my string is in the middle of the back rather than being, you know, at the front, which would allow me to try it on. But let's see if we can like visualize. We've got we're like almost to the elbow. I mean, we'll see when I actually have it on, it might be a little different, but sort of there. We're like just at the underarm, and yeah, I think it's coming along pretty well. Again, it feels a little bit slow just because there's a DK weight, which I'm still kind of like getting used to knitting at, so it just feels a little bit slower, but it does mean, again, I think it's going to be a much more wearable weight.
Make a mealtime statement with recipes like crispy salmon and potatoes and one-pot ginger chicken with sticky rice from our registered dietitians. Find
Okay, so it's been almost exactly 4 weeks. I do have progress to show you on the cardigan that I was working on last time, and I actually made sure to stop it in a point this time where I'd be able to try it on properly. We're learning, you see. See, there's a lot more going on in the sleeve department than we had last time. Okay, let's see if I can get this thing on with the many balls of wool attached to it. Okay, so we're really leaning into the sweater vibe today. Okay, actually this brings up a dilemma that I would like to discuss with you. So when you're working with a ball of yarn, how do you decide which end to pull from? Because just when I think I've got it figured out, I've got a method, I know which one makes more sense in which scenarios, a scenario proves me wrong. Every time. So in this case, especially with this mohair, big finger quotes, I was thinking this is a ginormous ball, so I feel like if I try to pull from the outside, then it's like there's just gonna be so many opportunities for it to roll around and get tangled over the course of like the life of this ball. Like it's just gonna be a bad time. And so I was like, I'll pull it from the middle, but then because it's so big, like it starts collapsing on itself to the point of like being loose and hard to work with and easily tangled so early in the lifespan of the ball. And so I've ended up, so this one I kind of started this one and it was too late and I haven't done anything with the X. It's not terrible, but like the other one I have attached, like one is one sleeve, one's the other sleeve. This other one I had to like take out my ball winder and start rewinding because it was just unmanageable. And I don't know, and because also part of my consideration was that if I'm working with 2 yarns held together, I should be center pulling, right? Because then the balls aren't like rolling all over the place and like tangling with each other. And I just, there's no good way, is what I've learned. There's no good way. I haven't really. Hello, Robert made appearance. Hi. No, you've had all your breakfast. You're not starving. So since I decided to wind this up, it hasn't been an issue rolling all around. But I don't know. I'm not convinced that it won't be. I don't know. Is there a good answer? Is there just never a good answer? Do you just always have to try one and then when it doesn't work, you do the other? I don't know. Let me know if you have wisdom. I think last time I had like a little bit of the body below where you split for sleeves, but I have definitely done a little bit more of that now. I'm almost done sleeves. I have one finished sleeve. Ta-da, beautiful. And I have one sleeve that I am ready to start the ribbing. I've done all of the decreases, all of the length of the sleeve, so almost done. So we have our ribbed cuff all done on this one, and on this one you can see we're very close. And as far as the length of it, I mean, we're like firmly past the territory of like 2005 shrug, but we're still a very, very long way away from the floor length cardigan that this will be. So I'm going to be knitting this until the end of time. Because if we want to recap, last time I think in terms of body, I think we were maybe like here, and I had maybe like this much of this sleeve and none of the other sleeves. So it's been 4 weeks. I've knit like this much sleeve and then this much sleeve. And I just feel like when we factor that against like the fact that this cardigan currently ends here and needs to get like 4 feet longer, I just foresee this sweater and I being in like a very long-term relationship. So wish me luck. But it's gonna be kind of interesting to see how it goes once I finish this sleeve, because up to this point I've kind of been able to just decide when I'm sitting down to work on this whether I want to work in the round, but it's gonna have to be on a tighter circumference because it's the sleeve, but at least I can work in the round, or do I want to be able to do nice really long rows and not have to worry about, you know, either adjusting my magic loop or flipping something over very frequently. Should we skip a hole? But I have to alternate rows of knitting and purling because it's knit flat. So like neither option is like my ideal knitting. Like I just would love to just knit stuff knit around for days and days. So neither is quite perfect, but both are good for kind of different things. Like I've been finding that when I want to take this with me, if I'm going to go like visit with somebody, I would much rather be knitting long rows of the body because I just don't have to worry about meddling with it so often. But at home, I tend to prefer working on the sleeves. So it'll be interesting to see if it slows down my pace maybe once I no longer have that option to kind of choose which way I want to work on it at any given time. So we'll see. But I really wanted to get the sleeves done so that it was just kind of like straight sailing from there. Minus that I will have to do the pockets. So the pockets are they're afterthought pockets. So technically it could be like the very last step that I do, but I also don't think I want to do that. I think that once I get to the point where the pockets go in, I think I will probably do them pretty quickly after that, so that then again, it's just smooth sailing from there. Okay, I have to jump in here because the number of times that in these project updates, I talk about how I'm totally going to do these afterthought pockets as more of a mid-thought pocket, which absolutely did not end up happening. We might as well start counting. Let's go start the count. And when this cardigan finally reaches its full length, I can just bind off and be done and not be like, oh, I have to like learn how to do pockets now. I don't really want to do it that way. I really don't like all of the sort of like finishy, constructy parts of making garments. And I feel like if I do the pockets kind of in the middle, it'll feel more like it's just the process of knitting it. But if I wait until the end, I think it's just going to feel similar to like having to seam up like a seamed sweater when I'm done, which I despise. So in the interest of making this, you know, fun, because like allegedly this is a hobby that I like, yeah, I'm planning to do the pockets in the middle and hope that that helps. We have the cardigan, which there's a lot of stuff going on here. Ta-da! We have 2 puffs, we have 2 finished sleeves. So that's exciting. And again, I was my most responsible knitting podcast herself, and I did put in a stitch marker. That means that everything since that is new in the last couple weeks. So considering that this is a DQ weight, and considering that I'm knitting this flat, I'm pretty happy with the amount of progress on that in the last couple weeks.
Remember
Like,
I
what is
told
that,
you about
like,
that extra one that you should always
8
make
inches
when you
maybe?
make your first stitch
I don't know, we're
at the
gonna say 8
beginning of
inches,
every
but
row?
like, so if we say it's 8 inches,
Why?
it's like
Because
almost a
it's
foot.
gonna
I
be
mean, we're
easier
being
for you
very
to
generous now
grab.
in our rounding,
You're
but
gonna see it
by
where
that
it's
logic,
where it's missing. You're like,
no, I mean, by that logic, this sweater still doesn't take me an eternity, but it is going to
the
take me
last
eventually, and I feel like
whichever way
that's
you
like an
want to look at
encouraging
it.
amount of progress. I will take it. I also had
Going through.
a couple of spots in the body of the sweater that I actually paused while I was knitting to take out my phone and record some footage, because I was like, there's a possibility that this is going to go very wrong. And if I'm going to ruin this project, I would like to at least get content out of it. So the situation was that I had been knitting this out somewhere. Maybe I was visiting Crimson Poppy, and I made a mistake. There was a stitch that was looking kind of funky. Maybe I'd like split it or something, where normally I would have dropped down to get that stitch and use my crochet hook to fix it, but I didn't bring my crochet hook with me, and I didn't want to stop being able to knit it. So I was like, that's okay, I'll just keep knitting. It's not like I'm gonna get that many rows in while I'm here. And when I get home, I'll get my crochet hook, and I'll just go down those extra few rows and I'll fix it from there. Which, you know, I think that was sound, except that I promptly forgot that I had done that and knit like many, many more inches of the body. So by the time I realized this, it was like a really big rescue operation, but I was looking at it and I was like, I don't know, like, am I going to be mad if I don't try to fix this and I end up not liking how this looked when I could have tried to fix it? And worst case scenario, if it went wrong, like, yes, I may have to reknit several inches, which sounds like a lot right now, but once I've knit this all the way to the floor, which this is intended to be like an ankle length cardigan, I think I might have regret if I don't try to fix this while I can. Like, again, it's still a big endeavor if I end up having to frog it, but am I gonna be mad if I don't? So I'm just gonna show you what happened.
All the way down here, I have this stitch that you can even kind of see it from a distance, like something weird happened here. I feel like it's actually more noticeable in person than it's coming through on camera. It's enough that it's like bugging me, and the problem is also because I think I kind of like partially went into it. Like I think that I have to fix probably not just that one stitch, but like the two on either side of it, like the one on either side, 2 in total. So I think I have to do like 3 stitches worth of going all the way down for it, which, like, what are the odds that this actually makes it worse rather than better? Like, not 0, right? So I'm like, do I do it? But then, so just now, like, I already think I'm gonna have to put in a lifeline because a weird thing happened where I was getting a weird like hole in between 2 of my stitches and I was like, what's happening? And I thought it was just like a weird thing where I could drop it down and pull back up, but when I did that, I found that somehow I ended up with this loop at the back. And like, instead of the ladder straight across, I have a loop, and I pulled down a few more rows and the loop just got bigger. So I don't know why there's a loop. I'm thinking, well, I'm already potentially gonna have to put in a lifeline. Like, maybe this is when I try to go back and fix the one that's all the way down here, because like, oh god, that's like half the cardigan. I don't want to have to go all the way back down there. It's like hours and hours and hours. Is this a terrible idea? Would you do this? I guess first I should make sure that I can't fix it just by like
maybe if they got to know me a little better,
pulling to even out some tension a little, right? That would be a smart thing to do. Is it fine? No, okay. I think I'll just fill it in when I weave in ends and just try to kind of pull it into like a V shape that kind of covers it. Hopefully that's fine. Hopefully I don't regret this. Famous last words, right?
So as you can see, we ended up deciding against doing any major surgery, and I'm trying to look at this now to see if I can figure out where if I can't even find it, I think that'll prove that I made the right decision.
Find the very corner.
Okay, I think I found one of them, but I had to like really look, so I'm taking that as a good sign. It's like in here, you see, but like, I don't know, I think it's looking okay right now, and it hasn't been blocked yet, so I'm hopeful that if I can barely notice it now, I will definitely not be able to notice it once it's blocked. And even if I can, worst case scenario, at least it's on the back, like, I think I just concluded that it was too high risk to try to fix it, and that it wasn't a problem commensurate to the level of risk that would have been required to repair it. You know, we were doing like high level risk assessment over here, and this did not meet the criteria. So I think it's gonna be good. I also would just like to take a moment to complain about the fact that I swear no matter how hard I try to very carefully pick up stitches when I'm doing sleeves, and I will very happily pick up more stitches at an armhole than I'm instructed to, and then just decrease them in the next round to make sure that I get the best possible coverage of the under armhole. So tell me why there are still holes on either side of my armhole. Like, look, there's like a little stingray face down here. Like, look, there's eyes on that. There must be like a particular part of like the anatomy of the stitches that like go around the corners that I haven't realized that I should be picking up. I think the other one turned out slightly better, because second time I was like, I'm gonna get it this time. I was mad, and there are less blatant holes in it, but it also just looks a little like strained. And I don't know, maybe this is a thing that there's not like a great solution for, because I swear even when I see like the pattern photos, like the marketing imagery for a pattern, if you look closely in ones where you can see the underarm, there are holes there. And I'm like, is this a thing that like exclusively I care about? Also, the sleeve that I was finishing last time was the absolute most annoying thing. Not because of anything wrong with the pattern or me knitting the ribbing, none of that. Specifically just the fact that I believe that I was one row away from the end when my ball of yarn ran out. And I was like the entire time I was knitting the sleeve, I felt like I was playing yarn chicken. And like, I wasn't really, because I had more of the yarn. I just really don't like joining a new ball of yarn. But I was just really hoping that I would be able to squeak out the end of the sleeve with just what was left on that one ball. It was so close. Okay, I guess I should actually show you what this looks like on so you can check out what the length is like. Okay, I think it's starting to look like a sweater. Okay, let's stand up. Oh, it's actually, it's like the same length or a little bit longer than my like cropped t-shirt. You know, dare I say, if this were just a normal cardigan, it would basically be time to add the ribbing and bind off, which I mean, it's not gonna be the case on this one because this is going to go like to the floor. But just thinking about the fact that if this was a regular cardigan, I would be almost done, makes me feel a little bit more accomplished actually. Like, I have knit a sweater, you know, like in the time I've been working on this, a sweater did occur, just not the length one that I want, and that's why I will continue to knit this forever. But in the meantime, I did like knit a sweater, kind of technically.
For work, play, and every day, upgrade with over 1 million parts and accessories and bring your truck to life. Real Truck.
So let me see if I can, oh god, here it is. And we can see down here, this is my stitch marker from the last time that I showed this on camera. So we've got another few inches, so not a ton. I was mostly focusing on dad's socks. I just did a little bit before I left, and since I've gotten home, I think honestly most of this I did yesterday. I think I was about here when I started working on this yesterday, but I worked on this for like a lot of yesterday. So last time I tried it on and felt like, okay, this is where, if this were a regular sweater, I would be starting the ribbing. It would be like almost done. So let me try this on and we can see. Okay. We have like a sweater. Like, yeah, if this were a regular sweater, this would be done. This would even maybe be long. We're, I guess, close to where the pockets will go. I do believe the pockets are afterthought pockets, but I will probably do them as a mid-project thought rather than afterthought just to get them over with. So once I'm in the pockets, it'll just be like, keep knitting until the ankles, except that I am thinking that I probably will want to do, again, like a mid-project block just to make sure that the length is coming out the way that I think it is, because there's just like a lot of potential for gravity to be a thing on this project. There's a lot of fabric that could weigh itself down. So I think it's going to be important to check that before I bind off and maybe find that the sweater is like a foot longer than I want it to be and I'm walking on it. That would be unfortunate. So I do think that will be important, but I'm feeling like it's probably about halfway there, which is good and I hope is accurate because I think I have just finished half of my balls of yarn of the merino. If I'm not halfway done, we might have a problem. But fingers crossed. So I'm looking forward to it being complete. But I think forward is really the operative word there because we're looking very forward, very far. Like it has taken me almost 3 months to get this far. So if I'm hopefully halfway done, we're looking at another 3 months probably. I do also want to circle back though on some things that I mentioned about this in my last project update. So last time I mentioned that I had this weird issue where I found like a strange loop that I couldn't figure out how to resolve. So last time I showed this problem, I had 3 separate people. I had Pulak, Amanda, and JS, each commented saying, I think what you have is an accidental short row. It looks like most likely you were knitting a row, put it down mid-row, came back to it, and accidentally picked up from the wrong side. So instead of having knit along your row, paused, picked it up, and continued knitting along your row, you had knit along your row, picked it up accidentally from the wrong side, and knit back this way. And that's what creates that little loop. And this makes so much sense. Like this is something that I am typically diligent about. I don't usually have this issue. I usually pick it up and say, okay, which side is my working yarn on? Where's it coming from? Where does it need to go? Great. But I can very much see how in the course of the hundreds of rows that make up this cardigan, I can see how one time I would maybe not have been paying attention and picked it up the wrong way. So this makes perfect sense, gives me further incentive to look out for this in the future. And just like, this was such a mystery to me. So thank you so much to the 3 of you for explaining this to me because I never would have figured this out. I had no idea. I was so perplexed by it. So if you also were perplexed by it, now you know. So unfortunately, I also learned by learning this that the only way to actually fix that is in fact to frog back. There is no way to like pick it up in a way that's going to solve the issue because a weird thing happened. You just do have to rip back if you actually want to resolve it. But I decided not to. I decided to just kind of like pull on the stitches on either side to even out a bit. I also had asked in that video when I didn't know what the problem was, but I was like, is this worth ripping back and frogging? And the consensus very much seemed to be absolutely do not go back. That will block out just fine. Don't worry about it. So thank you for reassuring me about that. I feel like that's the right decision. I feel validated in that. I had also asked in that video about the underarm issue. There is a consensus. So 4 separate people, Suli, Amanda, Jillian, and Camilla, all said Roxanne Richardson. So I have not yet watched that video. I'm planning on just doing that the next time I need to pick up for a sleeve on a new project. But just so you know, if you are also having this problem, Roxanne Richardson seems to be the place to go. My no frills cardigan is a long-term project. However, we are starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel. I cast this on January 5th. They've now spent January, February, March on it. And honestly, I think I'm ahead of where I thought I would be at this point. I kind of figured this project was going to take me like 6 months, but I am definitely beyond halfway, and good thing, because I'm definitely more than halfway done my yarn. And fabric is a little bit different than it was the last time that I talked about it on the channel, because I've done my mid-project block. This is fresh off the blocking mat. Today is Sunday that I'm recording this. On Friday night, I decided, okay, I think it's time. Took my measurement. I measured from the top of the back of the neck, just below where the ribbing starts, all the way down to the bottom. And as of Friday, I had 33 inches there. And as of today, blocked, I have 34 inches there, which is interesting to me. I decided to do a mid-project block because over the course of a cardigan this long, there's a lot of room for even the slightest bit of growth in blocking to really compound over the length of this. And I'm like, there's a chance that this could add like 6 inches here. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm expecting, but I realized when I measured it, I was expecting more than that. But knowing that it's almost 1-to-1, like I'm not even going to be knitting another 33 inches. I don't need that much more length, even close. Whatever I knit from here is not going to grow by more than 1 inch. So it should be fairly simple from here to get it to the right length. Now, knock on wood, because that just seems like a dangerous thing to say. And there is also the factor of just when I wear it a few times, how much is it going to start to sort of sag and pull itself down under its own weight. So I do feel like there is kind of a degree to which I still need to be cautious about the length. And I'm also wondering if, similar to doing a mid-project block, if I need to do kind of like a mid-project, like multi-day wear test, like just wear it around unfinished around the house for a few days just to give it a chance to kind of like settle under its own weight a little bit. Maybe what I need to do, I've been talking about doing the afterthought pockets that are written into the pattern as sort of a mid-thought, like not leaving them all the way to the end. So maybe what I should do is go ahead and make those pockets so that then I can put the attached yarn balls in the pocket so they have little containers so that I can then more easily wear this project around for a few days. Is that a weird thing to do? I feel like that might be a smart thing to do. So last time that I showed this on the channel, where's my stitch marker? Okay, I put on this marker of where we were, and as you can see, quite a bit has happened since then because this is the main thing that I've been knitting on. Let's see where it is now. This also kind of matches my outfit in a weird way. Okay, that is a pretty long cardigan. Now, I was a little concerned, and might be true, that the sleeves were kind of the perfect length before I blocked them, which in retrospect, kind of dangerous, because if I thought the rest of this was going to grow, what did I think was going to happen to the sleeves? What a great question. However, sometimes I find that sleeves kind of shrink as you wear a sweater. Maybe we'll see if I do my mid-project wear test, how these feel, if they do kind of seem to shorten, and if not, then I might have to undo my beautiful tubular bind off and rip out a little and then do it again. Why do I do the bind off before I block? So this is where we get into, did I order the right amount of yarn? Like maybe 15 more inches? Is that true? It's very hard to do this without like leaning and messing up my measurement. I don't know, around a foot, maybe a little more than a foot, I think is what I need from here. So let's do some measuring. Okay, so we can actually measure, because I have not woven in the ends, we can measure how much length I got out of one ball on the most recent switch. So, okay, so I'm holding this upside down. You can see here is where the most recent complete ball started. And then it ended over on this side here. Can you see that strand coming out there? Okay, so it looks like I'm getting about 8 inches per ball. Like I said, I think we need probably between 12 and 15 inches to finish it, plus a little bit extra for pockets. So in terms of the yarn that we still have available, these are the balls that I'm currently knitting off of. Like this merino is relatively new. I've kind of used just enough to take like the really pretty looking layer of wraps off of it. So now it's revealed like the crisscrossiness. And this is about half or more of the mohair alpaca. Because these balls are giant, they are almost twice as much length as these are. So if we're gonna be like on the safe side, we'll say that I have half each left of these. Oh, good news. Okay, actually. Maybe too good of news, maybe so good that it's bad, because I have 3 entire balls left. So is this the first time in my entire knitting career that I have like an active surplus of yarn? I've had projects where it worked out that I had enough. I've had a lot of projects where I ended up having to buy more yarn, probably as a byproduct of being a tight knitter. More stitches, same amount of space. So interesting. By these calculations, there's a solid chance that I'm going to end up with possibly 2 entire balls of yarn left, or more likely probably like 1 and like 90% of 1 by the time I get the pockets done. We'll see, but I might have some yarn I need to figure out what to do with when I'm done. So that's, I mean, not ideal that I paid more money than I need to probably for this project, but am I proud of myself for actually ordering sufficient quantities of yarn? Yes, I am. Oh God, in terms of the Touch Me mohair, we're set. Because remember, These are basically twice as long as the other one. So this basically equates to 6 of the merinos plus the half we got left. And I did know that I was pretty confident I was ordering a really excessive amount of this, but when I got it, it was half off, and I was concerned that they were discontinuing it. And I was like, in no world am I getting 80% done this cardigan and then running out of mohair and not being able to finish the cardigan with a matching mohair because it's now discontinued. This was not an option. So because these were half price, they were so like relatively affordable that I was like, we're just gonna order like definitely enough. Oh my God, I found a fourth. Extremely safe. I think that I only ordered 8 of these in the first place, which means that so far I've only used 3.5 of these on this entire cardigan. So these go a very, 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 very long way. In terms of the merino, I started with 10 of these, so that means that I've now used about 6.5. I also, in an earlier episode where I was talking about this cardigan, I mentioned having issues trying to figure out like how to pull the yarn, like the dilemma of, is this a project where I should pull from the outside or the inside, and how much is that informed by which type of yarn it is? And I tend to default to pulling from the inside because you don't have to worry about the ball like rolling around. I was having a lot of issues with that with this project, but I did decide to try just pulling from the outside for both of them, which I was trying to avoid initially, thinking, well, if I have 2 balls, they're just gonna be like bouncing all over each other and getting all tangled. Somehow this actually has not been an issue at all, and I've much preferred working on this since I started pulling from the outside. So it doesn't really make sense to me, but it is working, so we're going to go with it. So that's really all the update that I've got today on that cardigan, and maybe next time it will have pockets.
I'm a rusty old boat hitch, and I am barely hanging on. See ya. Ahoy! So get all stayed.
Lowe's knows when you need a new appliance, you want it at the right price. So get a great deal on the latest GE Profile innovations that make every day.
I am, of course, still working on the no frills cardigan that, I mean, looked like it was going to take my entire life. But you know what? I actually feel like we are nearing the end, which is really exciting because I'm actually going to get to wear this soon, I think. So like I said, this is very much a long-term project. I cast this on January 5th, which means that we're a solid 4 months into this. But I thought this would take me at least 6 months, and we are like rapidly approaching completion. So let me show you the progress. Okay, I've actually got 2 stitch markers on this one right now. So this stitch marker down here, that's where I was the last time that I showed this project on camera. It's actually been 4 weeks since I recorded. So I've gotten from here to here, and then this is marking a separate point that we'll talk about in a minute. I was thinking that there is still a possibility of it growing vertically just through hanging just from wear. In that video I said something about like, should I just like wear it like unfinished for a few days, just like around the house? And then I realized there's like probably a smarter way to do this. So what I actually did was I just hung it off of the back of like a bar stool, and I'll pop in a picture. I kind of had a pillow propped up over the top of the chair so that the weight of the shoulder wasn't, you know, resting on this like very thin edge of the chair and putting therefore like a lot of pressure on this like one very specific line. It sort of could like spread out across the pillow in a similar way that it gets spread out over like the entire depth of your shoulder. So I set it up like that and was sort of letting it hang for a few days just to kind of see if it kind of got longer. But I haven't yet actually done the comparative measurement to know, but that is the purpose of the stitch marker. This is where I had gotten to when I did that hang test. And so this last little inch is like what I have knit since then. But so I just wanted to be able to know what is the point that I need to measure to when I'm checking how much it's grown by. So I'll report back in the next video on how much the hanging actually had an impact, because at this moment I don't really know. And I realized like I could measure it on camera right now, but I have the problem where my measurement of what it was before is stored in the camera roll on my phone, which I'm recording on, and I don't want to touch the phone and move it. So we're just gonna do it next time. One thing though that I did think was really interesting when I was doing this hang test is that like I would be across the room and I would look over at it and I could see a very clear line where the project was at the point that I blocked it. Like the difference between the blocked fabric and the fabric that I had knit since blocking, therefore new unblocked fabric, was noticeable. There's a very clear delineation. You can see it in this picture, I think. And I'm not worried about that. I'm confident that that line will block out once the whole thing gets blocked. I don't think you'll be able to tell. But it was just really funny because I didn't really feel like the fabric seemed very different post blocking. You know, I think it's more obvious in some yarns and in some projects than in others, and this would have been one where I would have told you like I don't know if it did much, but having that like direct side-by-side comparison was like, oh, it really did do something, because these two are very much not the same and you can see it from like 20 feet away. I also have said every single time I talked about this that this pattern has afterthought pockets, but that I think I'll probably do them as like more of a mid project thought, blah blah blah, so I'm not stuck doing it at the end. Well, surprise surprise, I still haven't done them, and as you will see in a minute when I try this on, I'm almost done this sweater. So I think that they probably will, after all, be afterthought pockets, despite all my best intentions. But I think that it's just happened that like I just had like a busy last few weekends, and I think that I really just want I really just want to do the pockets on a day where like I just have a day where I can just uninterrupted, like that's my mission for the day, and just get them done and not be worried about trying to fit it in or having to put it down in the middle of things and go do something else. Like I just want to be able to sit down and focus, because I know that there's gonna be parts of it that I find tricky or just like unpleasant and like require a lot of focus, and I just don't want to be trying to do all that in and around other stuff. And I just haven't had a good weekend for that in the last few weeks. So it's gonna be actual afterthought pockets, I think, is what's happening at this point. Am I going to be a little bit annoyed when I bind off on the whole body and I'm not done and now have to do pockets, figure out how to do afterthought pockets because I've never done those? Like, yeah, that's not gonna be my favorite part of the project. It's not, but c'est la vie. Okay, so now it is time to try this thing on and see how close we are to completion. Oh my god, there's so many just like ends of balls of yarn now because I have not yet woven any of them in, and it's just kind of a disaster. Bear with me. Oh, my head's like slightly out of frame here, not again. So that's a lot of cardigan. It's a lot more cardigan than it was the last time I showed it, when at that time it seemed like a lot of cardigan. And yet, like, there's still a lot of cardigan left to knit. How is this possible? I feel like the distance between my knee and the floor keeps growing. Like, I don't know. So, you know what? Maybe I will manage to put in the pockets before I get to the actual bottom of this. Maybe not time will tell. But that's a lot of cardigan. That's so much cardigan. Look at that. This is gonna be a really short update because basically all that's happened is I'm just still knitting a really long cardigan and it doesn't look a whole lot different from the last time that you saw it. And there. Okay, there's not a whole lot to tell you on this. Like I'm just still knitting stockinette. Let me find my progress keeper. So there's 2 stitch markers here. This top one is where I was the last time that I filmed. So it's been 2 weeks. I've done a little bit, haven't done a lot. Also, it takes forever to do a row on this and half of it's purling. So it takes how long it takes. But I feel like last time I tried this on, it still needed quite a bit more than this for it to be ready to start like getting ready to bind off. So we're just still carrying on. We're just still knitting. I also still need to knit pockets every single time I record, and like maybe next time I'll have done the pockets. I still have not done the pockets. I'm just like really avoiding having to do the part where I like measure out where the pockets need to start. I just don't think I will enjoy that. So I'm avoiding it for now. Let me try this on. Can I get all of me in frame? So very long, not long enough. We've still got to knit more. I feel like somehow the bottom little bit of this cardigan is like taking longer than the entire like top 80% of the cardigan. I don't know. It just feels like I'm never getting any closer to done. Someday I will appear on the channel and show you this finished cardigan. But that day is not today. Look how cute it is though. Like if we look at it from the front, if I like straighten out the button band, which I'm hoping that when this is done and not on the needles, that this will be better at sitting flat. It kind of has a tendency to like end up with the band tucked in like that, which like I don't love. So hopefully that kind of like figures itself out. I'm still not sure if I'm gonna decide that these sleeves are too long. I think I will probably just wear it for a while and see how much it bugs me, because like if I let them fully fall, like they do entirely cover my thumb right now. And I do love a long sleeve, but that might be slightly too long. I should not have bound off the sleeve before I blocked it. That was a mistake, but maybe it'll be fine. Cut to me like 3 months from now being like, it was not fun, I have to go fix this now. But what can you do? Look at it though. Isn't it like so beautiful? It's also a very nice like mid-weight fabric. Like I could totally see myself wearing this on like a summer evening, or even just like, I was gonna say taking it along in the summer when you think you might be going somewhere with like cold air conditioning. And then I remember this is the largest sweater of life, so it's probably not really going to be my like purse sweater. It'll have a purpose. It will. Mostly just being stunning. Like look at it in this color. Like I just love the idea of having this giant statement sweater in this really fun color. I actually have an update for you today that is something other than I knit a few more inches. The other day I was like, I should probably check the pattern just to see exactly how long the ribbing is at the bottom so that I know how much short of the total final length that I want it to be. I need to stop doing stockinette and switch to ribbing, right? Makes sense. So I did that and was shocked to find that there's supposed to be 3.5 inches of ribbing at the bottom, which I don't know, it's just a lot more ribbing than I was assuming in my head that there would be. I think maybe I just thought that it would be like the same as the button band, that it would just be like about 1 inch. But in fact, it's not matching that, it's matching what's on the sleeve, which is 3.5 inches. And I mean, you know, that makes sense. I just wasn't thinking about that. So when I then tried it on, tried to figure out, okay, how much further do I have to knit until I start my 3.5 inches of ribbing? I went, oh, that might be too much. I might actually have knit this too far. And so I think that if when that happened, I had actually just at that moment started knitting ribbing, it might have been fine. It might have turned out to be the perfect length, but it might have also over time gotten too long. And I just don't know. I just don't know how much this is going to grow over time just from the sagging under its own weight. And I really don't want to have spent 6 months on this cardigan to end up with a cardigan that is unwearable until I pick off the edge and rip inches off of it and reknit ribbing. And I just don't want to do that. And I was feeling like, you know what, I actually quite like the length that it's at right now, plus maybe a tiny bit more. But what that means is that I actually had to rip back 2 inches of my cardigan, which like, that's just so many hours going to 2 inches on this knit flat stockinette cardigan. So, you know, that was a little sad. And I spent like an hour trying to like pick up all the right legs of all the right stitches to like put in my lifeline and rip back. And so I got it all sorted out. It's all done now. And we actually have the very beginnings of some ribbing. That's the very start of the ribbed edge. There's like a few rows of ribbed stitches. So that's exciting. I'm actually like on the bottom part now. I'm not just knitting stockinette into infinity anymore. We've actually progressed. So that's exciting. And I've also measured out where my pockets are going to be. So I haven't actually done any of the knitting on the pockets, but I was looking at the pattern to see where it recommends you position the pockets. And I don't know. I tried marking out where the pattern suggests that the pockets go in terms of height. And I felt like a T-Rex imagining putting my arms in those pockets. Like it felt like they were like in my armpit. And I was like, I don't think this is gonna cut it for me. So I ended up kind of figuring out, okay, where do I feel like they should actually be height-wise? And it was twice as far down from the armhole as the pattern recommends. I'm like, that seems like a lot. Like maybe that's too dramatic of a change to make. Like maybe I'm just like gauging something wrong. I should check this against like another sweater that I have to make sure that this makes sense. But in fact, when I just pulled out the like store-bought long cardigan that I have with pockets, its pockets are basically exactly where I positioned the pockets on this cardigan. So I must just have way longer arms than petite knit. I mean, she is, I think, like a petite person, so I guess that tracks. But like twice as long? I don't know. That seems like a lot, but I think that's where my pockets need to go. All right, so let's do a try on, shall we? Okay, so it turns out that I actually stopped this in the middle of a row, which means that I can't try it on until I finish knitting this row. One of the nice things about this pattern is that the button band is knit simultaneously. So now that I'm almost done, I am not about to have to pick up 3,000 stitches around the perimeter, which I'm very, very happy about because I don't like picking up stitches in general. And I really don't think I would cope well with having to pick up, you know, from the very bottom edge all the way up around the neck and then all the way back down a cardigan that goes to the floor. Today is June 1st, which means that we are 5 entire months in. Now, I was kind of thinking about a month ago, oh, I think I'm like about a month away from finishing, and here we are, and I'm not finished. I'm on the ribbing, but I still have the pockets to do, and like ribbing takes longer than just stockinette. So I don't know, it's very possible that this will end up taking me the rest of the month to finish. I hope not though. It would be nice if I could finish this a little bit sooner, but the pockets, I don't know, it just, there's something scary about afterthought pockets, and I say something as if it's vague. It's not vague. The scary part is that you snip the yarn. The scary part is that you cut your knitting and you unpick part of a row. And I mean, as someone who has never done steeping or anything like that, I don't know, the idea of cutting, like I guess I've cut to do surgery before, which, and like that is a bit stressful, but I don't know, this is extra. And I guess part of the thing is that with surgery, you typically like put in a lifeline and so it's fine. And I don't know, just the idea of cutting into these pockets is stressful. Can I get all of it in frame? Okay, I actually have to tip the camera to get it all in. Okay, here we go. So part of what I was finding when I was trying it on before to measure is that just the way that it sits, the front edge tends to kind of sit a bit lower than the back edge. It just kind of naturally droops that way, which makes sense, but also means I can't just base the length off of where the back of it hits. So that's really why I decided to rip back, because I was getting worried that the front corners were gonna start dragging and then they would get all like ratty and start unraveling and it would be a really bad time. So I decided it was time to start ribbing, and I feel like this is a good spot. So I mean, I've only got like maybe 1/4 inch of ribbing at this point. So I basically have 3 to 3 1/4 inches of ribbing left to add. So I think that once that's there, I think this is going to be the perfect length. I'm very excited. So I've marked out my pocket positioning with these little stitch markers. This is the front edge and the back edge of the pocket, and this is the top edge. So this will be the opening, and then the pocket is supposed to be about 6 inches deep. So if I put my hand in there, I've still got kind of a natural bend to my arm. It's not like I'm fully extending to reach down in there. And I feel like that's a comfortable spot. Like when I measured out where the pattern was saying to put them, it was literally like here. And like, I just don't feel like I really want a pocket there. I don't know if this is just a difference in preferred pocket placement or if it's actually like that significant of a difference in just like body proportion. Because to me, I'm like I feel like a T-Rex right now. Like I don't want to be going in a pocket like that. I don't want to feel like I'm like flexing my back muscles to like reach into my bucket. So I think that will be a much more comfortable height. So fingers crossed that is true, because this is the other scary part about afterthought pockets. Like I'm making a cut, like I really need to be pretty confident about where those pockets go. So I do think though that like with the bend in my arm that's still there when I put my hand in a pocket here, like even if it ends up sagging down several inches, like I can still reach that without like, you know, reaching. So I think that's the right spot. I hope that's the right spot. We're gonna go on the assumption that it's the right spot. So yeah, that is my no frills cardigan.
Linda just realized the horrifying truth. She's low on kid snacks. Stay cool, Linda.
So do I have a finished no frill cardigan to show you? No, and here's, we were so close. Where are we with this cardigan? We are at should be done. We are at, I did the pockets, there's a pocket. I knit all the length, I knit 3 inches of ribbing, and then I decided to block before casting off because I just do not wish to spend the probably several hours that doing a sew and bind off is going to take me to do, and then find out that it's too long. Boy, am I glad I did that. Because guess what? It's too long. I mean, so currently it's not. Currently, I'll try it on in a second to show you, but currently it's probably like 1 inch off the ground at the front, because just the way it kind of sits on the body, and like it makes sense because the front panels aren't like holding on to the other side to keep it up. Those front corners kind of droop. So those front corners are about 1 inch off the ground. And I just feel like that just seems really close to assume that over time, like some stretch in this garment isn't gonna, like even if I just like put something in the pocket, it basically hits the ground. So I think I need to remove length. Now the question is, at this point, I have a few different options of how I think that I could do that I need to kind of think through. But before I do that, let's try this on and talk about it. So just like on its own, for its own sake, I love that. I think that looks fantastic. But you know what I don't think will look fantastic is frayed edges on my cardigan that make it start to unravel. So I think that part of what happened is that I think the pockets are adding a not insubstantial amount of weight that is kind of pulling them down more than anticipated, because I did like quite a lot of like testing to try to prevent this problem, right? Yeah. So I think when it was about here, I blocked it. I also tested just hanging this off of the back of a chair for a few days to try to give it a chance for like gravity to settle in. All of these tests led me to believe that I didn't have a whole lot to worry about. So I kept knitting and knit until I knit too long, and I ripped back, and then I knit my ribbing, and then I blocked it again. And I don't know, I feel like it somehow still came out too long. And in terms of the pockets, so last time I was talking about being a little bit scared during the pockets. So I did pockets and the world didn't blow up. So nailed it. Very pleased that I didn't end up accidentally unraveling my whole cardigan when I had to make a cut to put in afterthought pockets. So big fan of that. Okay, Allie from the present again. Now I realized that I did all this preamble about the pockets and the anxiety about the pockets and what if something was wrong with the pockets. And then once I finally did the pockets, I was like, yeah, I did the pockets, it was fine. And I gave you like nothing. So if you too have afterthought pocket anxiety, if you too were wondering what this was going to be like and hoping that I would shed some light on it, first of all, sorry about that. Second of all, let me try to like retroactively do a little bit of that. So I did find that Petite Knit has a video tutorial on them, and despite the fact that I don't think it was in English, I think I was just watching what was happening, it was a very clear and helpful visual of what you're actually doing. And basically the way that you do it is you're like picking up a certain number of stitches in one row and then jumping up 2 rows and picking up those same stitches 2 rows higher up, and then it's in the row in between that you make your cut and you start unpicking just the ends of that row. And because it's sort of sandwiched between these 2 lifelines, you're very safe, nothing's going anywhere, it's all totally fine. I did find it weirdly difficult to try to pick up the stitches for these pockets cleanly in one row without accidentally being like and ending up in a row above, which I mean, it's not like I tend to put in lifelines flawlessly in general, like even with all my best efforts and like using my needle to kind of try to like be my little arrow that points to the next stitch I'm supposed to pick up. I still usually at some point end up with like 1 jog somewhere in my lifeline that I then have to like fix and account for as I'm unraveling. So not shocking, but I was just kind of surprised that in like such a small distance as like the width of a pocket that I was still having this problem. But once I had done one, it was very easy to do the second one because it's only 2 rows above. So it's very easy to see, okay, now I'm suddenly 3 stitches above instead of 2 or whatever. But it was actually in doing the second one that I realized, at least one of the times that I had this problem, that I had done the first one badly in the first place. I was like, oh, I'm definitely going in a straight line on this top one, and somehow, you know, these have gotten closer together. So that was more difficult than anticipated, but not in a way where like, it's difficult's not even the right word. It's just fiddly. Like, it wasn't hard. I just like had to pay a lot of attention and like try it a couple times, you know? So we are at this really weird part of this project where it's like, the only part I have not done is the bind off, but I think I need to do some undoing before I do the bind off. And so here's the question. This has a quite generous 3.5 inch ribbing at the bottom. And the button band, or lack of button band, is maybe like 1 inch wide, and it's the same ribbing. It flows directly into the ribbing at the bottom. So to me, option number one, door number one, is I just rip back the ribbing until its length matches the width of the button band, because I think that would also look quite nice and polished. I like how this looks, but I don't think that I like it more than I would like that. I think that as long as it matches this, it would feel nice and uniform and feel intentional. So the question there is just, will that be enough removed, right? I have to figure out how much of this I want to remove. And I guess I'm concerned about the possibility of going to the trouble of putting in this lifeline, of ripping back and making sure I get all the right rib stitches on my needle, because this will mean picking up ribbing, and potentially still feeling like, I don't know if I took enough off. So that's door number one and my concerns with door number one. Door number two, I unravel all of the ribbing and a little bit of the stockinette and start the ribbing sooner. And now that still begs the question of, do I rip back enough of the stockinette that I still am doing a 3.5 inch rib? Or am I just ripping back enough that I do a shorter, like roughly 1 inch rib? So there's like door 2A and door 2B. And then door 3 is I actually do surgery and I actually cut off the bottom ribbing. I rip back some of the stockinette and then I graft them back together. I haven't figured out which of these I'm going to do, in part because I'm really torn about how much length I think I need to remove, but I'm not really sure how to make myself more sure about this. Like, maybe if can I like pin it so that it's at the length it would be like this? Like, can I like pin it like that? I don't know. I just want it to magically be the right length. I don't currently know the best way to do that. That's the current state of this. And I don't know, I have not yet decided which door I'm gonna go with. Okay, Allie from the present back. So to pick up on where I left off in my last update, you just watched me talk about door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3, and what am I gonna do about this extra length in the cardigan. So I waited a few days. I waited to see what comments would come in, what people would have to say, and there wasn't really a consensus. You know, there were options ranging from like, honestly, you're not even gonna wear this for a few months anyway, so just put it aside for a bit and see how you feel when you pull it back out. Like, don't risk making a hasty decision now that you're gonna regret later for no reason, to just rip a couple inches off that ribbing, to you should rip back so much and redo that whole 3.5 inches of ribbing. So what I ended up doing was, in fact, door number 2. I decided that I did want to keep that nice thick 3.5 inch ribbing at the bottom, and part of this was informed by, my friend Amy pointed out, because it's so long, if the ribbing is too short, it might actually curl more, which I wouldn't want it to do. And I think once I kind of wrapped my head around the potential of having to redo all of the ribbing, I was like, okay, I think I do actually prefer how it looks with the longer ribbing. I do think it's nice. I think I just didn't entirely want to admit that when it was the option that took more work. But once I wrapped my head around, like, okay, it's probably for the best anyway. We're gonna prevent curling. We're gonna make sure it's the right length, because if I'm just ripping back a couple inches of ribbing and leaving a little, that's only 2 inches removed. If I remove all the ribbing and then unravel some more, I can really control exactly how much length I want to take off here. So that's what I did. I unraveled 3.5 inches of ribbing and another 3.5 inches of stockinette. So that's 7 inches gone. And then you'll recall that in a previous update, I had unraveled 2 or 2.5 inches. So in total, I knit an excess of 9.5 inches on this cardigan. That's, I don't even want to think about how many hours that is. That's so many hours. Like, there were, I think, multiple project updates where I came on and was like, look, I've done about 8 inches since the last time I updated 2 weeks ago. So like 2 entire weeks of knitting for nothing, unraveled, wonderful. But I do feel like it was the right thing to do. So once I had finally gotten in my lifeline, unraveled 7 inches, reknit 3.5 more inches of ribbing, it was time to do my sewn bind off. And I am so grateful to my friend Lauren, who a few weeks ago had just mentioned to me, by the way, when you're binding off that cardigan, I would recommend you leave the mohair out, just bind off with the merino. She had just recently done a project where she was binding off and was trying to use the mohair at first, and it was just really making things difficult. It's hard to see what's going on. The way the fuzz kind of tugs its way through the hole and starts to get bunched up. Like, she was just telling me that it was a nightmare. And I'm so grateful that she told me this, because it absolutely would not have occurred to me, to the point where I actually did start binding off, holding both strands, was going, this is terrible. And then went, oh right, Lauren told me this would be terrible. And that I don't have to do it. So then I removed my mohair and proceeded with my life, and it was so much better. So shout out Lauren, thank you. Another thing that I also want to mention about doing a sewn bind off, and if this sounds really obvious and like a very unnecessary thing to point out, congratulations on being smarter than me. I don't know, I've done several sewn bind offs, and this had never occurred to me. So I find with this sewn bind off, I like to be very generous with the tail that I leave on the yarn because I really don't want to be in a position of having to join yarn in the middle of a bind off. That just seems terrible. But you'll know if you've done a sewn bind off that if you are pulling feet and feet and feet and feet of yarn through every single stitch, most of your time spent working on that bind off is just pulling, right? That's most of what you're doing. And so it gets quite a bit faster as you go along and the tail gets shorter and shorter, but it takes so much of the time. And what I realized maybe a quarter through this bind off was, why am I only leaving like a little bit of yarn looped through the needles? You know, you have your needle, you thread your yarn through the needle, and if you're me, you tend to leave like maybe 12 inches of yarn sticking through the other side, like kind of just enough to make sure that it's not gonna fall out of your needle, wiggle its way out. Turns out you should pull that tail of the yarn until it almost lines up with the other end, because in doing so, you are cutting in half the amount of yardage that you have to pull through every time. You don't want to pull it all the way because you don't want two strands to end up in the stitches that you're making, but leave a few inches buffer, and guess what? You saved yourself so much time. And how I wish that I had realized this so many sewn bind offs ago. So if this also had not occurred to you, you're welcome. So once I finished the sewn bind off, the only thing that I had left to do was weave in the ends. And I did all the easy ones first, you know, just all the random spots where I'd had to join a new ball. And then I only had left the underarm holes and around the pockets. And those I was putting off just because I knew that I wanted to kind of sew up some holes using those ends, and it was just gonna take a little more brain power. So when I finally got to those, I finally made myself do that, and I'm very glad that I did, because guess what? You cannot see a single underarm hole. And I dare say the pockets look pretty perfect. There used to be pretty noticeable holes along here and along here. Like they kind of just appear as if from nowhere in the fabric. And I feel like that's really fun. It's like, how are you there? How are you attached? It's just magic. Now I actually haven't measured, but I'm gonna measure. I'm very curious to know how my finished project length compares to what the pattern recommends, because there's been so much ado in this project process about how much longer should I be knitting it? Oh no, I made it too long. Let me make it shorter. Oh no, I still made it too long. Let me make it shorter again. And like, that's just been like the last month of my life. And I'm just very curious to know how the length that I settled on compares to what the pattern recommends. Like, had I just listened to her, would I have been fine? But see, like, I didn't even think about listening to her. I didn't even look at the recommended length because I'm pretty sure she's a lot shorter than I am. So like, I don't think that the length that she would choose is at all relevant to me, but let's find out. Okay, turns out I'm vindicated because the pattern specifies that the cardigan should actually be 3.5 inches shorter than mine is still, even after all of the ripping back that I did. So honestly, kind of a relief to know that it wouldn't have just been all fine if I had just listened to her recommendation, because that would have been shorter than I wanted it to be. So did I go awry in customizing it? Yes. But was I still right to customize it? Yes. Okay, I feel like I've made you wait long enough. Let's admire this cardigan. I feel like we need a choir of angels. Look at the beautiful, elegant pockets that don't have holes at the edges anymore. The underarms without holes. Also worth noting is that the line that you used to be able to see in the fabric where I had blocked it and then continued knitting, you can no longer see that. Blocking the final chunk made it match the top part perfectly. And I think it's a perfect complement to my Jurassic Park t-shirt. I just want to like walk around and let it like float behind me. Like, look at it. Look at the movement. I have actually worn this a decent amount since I finished it already. I only pulled it off the blocking mats like maybe 5 days ago, but I have worn it every single day since then. And if you're thinking, Allie, it's July, never underestimate my ability to be cold. So you can see the length that it ended up at, and you can see that it definitely angles down toward the front. So it's closer to the floor there than it is at the back. So I feel really good about this length. I feel like this looks great, and also there's a bit of buffer room where if it grows a little bit, those front corners still aren't gonna be touching. So I did find in wearing it, number one, really fun to like sprawl out on a couch and use it like a blanket and just like cocoon yourself. Also fun is when you're going downstairs. I did find myself reaching to pick it up just to make sure that it's not like trailing along the stairs and getting stepped on. And if you're wondering if picking up your cardigan like this while you go downstairs makes you feel like some sort of like fancy Regency woman in a period drama, yes it does, and I highly recommend. Maybe I should climb my ladder and then you can see the bottom of it better. Ta-da! I don't even really know what else to tell you about it. I just love it. Actually, I should probably say in wearing it the last few days, have loved the sleeve length. Despite the fact that they blocked out a little bit longer than I realized that they were going to be, I have not found them to be in the way at all. I've just found them to be super cozy. I do feel like somehow the pockets have like gotten even lower. So if we're revisiting my pocket positioning, I do maintain that the original written height would have been too high for me, but I think that the correct answer would have been maybe halfway between the recommended number and where I actually put them, which was twice as low. So maybe just split the difference. Maybe that would have been perfect. I can still perfectly comfortably reach to the bottom of them, but my arms are significantly more straight in doing that than I thought they were going to be when I did all these calculations. So turns out that in a long droopy cardigan, pockets are gonna end up lower than you think they are. Just know that. Like if you decide to do this cardigan and think, I feel like where she's telling me to put these pockets are like just a little bit above where I'd want them to be and I should move them down, maybe just leave them where they are and maybe that'll turn out right. Just that's what I would do. And like I said, when you're wearing this cardigan, the front corners do definitely droop down further than the back does. So if that's something that you think would bother you, if you would really like it to be uniform length all the way around when it's on your body, I would recommend you consider adding in short rows. It's not something that I felt like I needed to do. I could have, because I did actually see someone suggest this before I did my ripping back. So
that's what her deal is.
No, no ma'am.
I think that's the way it works.
No. My kids would be very sad. Okay, so snacks. Kimmy says snacks. Yes, we have a really, because the camera's right there.
I can see everything.
It shows all the snacks.
Snacks.
We have a great snack layout. That's always a positive.
M&M.
And they prepped these so amazing. They're in the steps that we're gonna do them in the basket.
At least I hope so. I'm pretty sure that I did it the correct way. Let's hope. If they're a little off, then I'm sorry.
It looks great. And everybody, is the sound okay? Can you hear when everybody's talking? I know there's gonna be lots of noises, but just doing a sound check.
Moving? Unpack a lot more for way less with Optimum Fiber Internet. Move with Optimum and get a $50 prepaid MasterCard and Max included for 6 months. Enjoy fiber internet starting at $40 a month. Click now.
Have you heard about Acusoli? These are the cutting-edge orthopedic insoles that people look forward to using. Yes, orthopedic insoles are beneficial for relieving foot, knee, hip, and back.
You know, I have a few knitting machines. Now I have another one as well. This is a Centro 32 needle machine. So it's in between the 22 needle Addy.
All right, it may be stupid hot outside.
I also have,
but we're wearing comfy clothes and we're going to talk about fall knitting plans. Now, I can't exactly call this plans, more of fall knitting want to make list, because we all know that our plans go awry, and yeah, it's just, I want to make these. And I hope I get to make all of them. I'd be happy with making one. Yeah, there are 6 of them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I can count sometimes. There are 6 things on my list that I want to make, and we're just gonna go for it. So, in no particular order, we have the Sweet Gum cardigan. Now this is from Expression Fiber Arts. I have talked about this sweater cardigan before. I've showed you this yarn, I believe. It is this yarn. So these 3 were in a kit that was limited edition, so these colors are no longer available. I needed one more skein to go, I got 2 of these, so I needed one more skein to kind of go with them. So I got this one in the same yarn base. This is called Take Chances. This is the Twisted Tweed Sport from Expression Fiber Arts. This kit was called Lost in a Sea of Dreams. And hold on. These, that is going to make the most beautiful tweed buttoned cardigan you will ever see. Probably not, but I think so, because tweed is awesome. I'm excited to make this. So this is a sport weight cardigan. It is 2 strands held together throughout, so you get a marled effect, and it's a gradient, so you're switching out colors. It's top down. There are buttons. There is short row shaping, and there is small little cabling along the button band on both sides. I will be using the suggested yarn because it was gorgeous and I couldn't stop myself. It is designed with 0 to 4 inches of positive ease in the bust, and I really want this one like tomorrow, but it's still stupid hot outside and not exactly Cardi weather. But you know, that doesn't stop me from making off-season things. That shouldn't stop anybody from making off-season things, because if you make it off-season, then you get to wear it for the weather that you actually want to wear it in. That's just my opinion. Make your cold weather stuff when it's kind of hot outside, so that way once it's finally cold you can actually wear your cold weather things. Anyway, so Sweet Gum Cardigan from Expression Fiber Arts. That. Next up is the Sea Glass Cardigan from Woolen Pine. Now this is another in their Sea Glass collection. There's several of those and they are all gorgeous and I want to make all of them. But cardigan, because yes. This is a DK weight for the main color, and then uses DK, worsted, and fingering weight held double for the contrast colors. This is, I love all their patterns because they're great for stash busting, and I've got some stash to bust, so Sea Glass Cardi. This is a raglan cardigan. You can either do a V-neck collar or a shawl collar. There's instructions for both. It is top down and there's buttons, and it's designed with 2 to 6 inches of positive ease. I don't have the yarn for this one, like the DK weight for the main color. I have scraps, but not enough for actual main color knitting. I can use the scraps in the other bits, but for the main color, I don't know. I'd have to pick one that would go with all the scraps that I would want to use. This one would require some planning, and I want this one also tomorrow. But I knit fast, but I'm not that fast. Okay, so yeah, I just love all of Woolen Pine. They are so fun. Okay, next up, number 3 is Kunigsi. This is also from Expression Fiber Arts. I mean, are we surprised? We're not. They are my absolute favorite. I learned to knit from her videos. I taught myself to knit from her videos. Anyway, Kunigsi. This is not a sweater. It is not a cardigan. It is a swancho, which is a sweater poncho combination. There is directions. There's directions in the pattern to make it just a straight poncho. You eliminate the sleeves if you want to go that route. This is a sport weight pattern. It is designed as a gradient, or you can do whatever. You can do one color if you want to, but I'm going to be doing a gradient, and I have the yarn for this one. This is 2 strands held together, same as the Sweet Gum cardigan. There are some cables running along the arms, and it has a cowl neck. So it's not exactly, it gives you that turtleneck look, but without the chokage of a turtleneck. It's fun. Okay, so let me show you my yarn, okay? I think, yeah, I posted a reel using this yarn, unboxing, if you will. I'm dropping yarn issues. Okay, so here's my yarn. Okay, that one's in the bag. Ah! I have issues holding 5 skeins of yarn, apparently. It was the inspiration photos for one of these colors in particular that made me want the entire collection. It was, hold on, no. I don't remember which one it was, but the inspiration photo was a strawberry milkshake in a clear glass with a handle, and the milkshake is just like flowing out the sides, and you've got the swirls of the pink and the white, and it made me want a strawberry milkshake so bad, but I bought yarn instead. Whoops. Anyway, so these, not that one. That one? Okay. These 4 were inspired by the strawberries. Now, I needed one more skein for the yardage, so I grabbed one in the same yarn base that went with them. So you can see it goes with those yarns nicely. I'm really having a lot of trouble holding these. Anyway, yeah, it's gonna be great. Did I already tell you about it? I did tell you about it. I did. Sport weight.
Tell us again.
Hold on. All right, there was somebody at the door. Anyway, where was I? Strawberry inspired yarn? Yes, I believe so. Top down, held double, sport weight, sweater poncho thing. You know, all of these 6 ones, I'm gonna want them tomorrow. So there's no point in me saying that every time. On to the next one. This next one also comes from Wool and Pine. Are you sensing a theme here? Wool and Pine and Expression Fiber Arts. This one is a fairly new release. This is the Stowaway sweater, and I saw the picture and I wanted it 5 minutes ago. Okay, this hair is bugging the crap out of me. This is a DK weight sweater with Fair Isle sleeves and an optional kangaroo pocket, also in Fair Isle. There is actually a knit along going to be happening with this sweater starting Saturday, August 10th and going through October 15th. So that gives you plenty of time to make it if you want to knit it with other people. I'm not going to join the knit along because people. I'm kidding. No, I don't have time to join a knit along. It is designed with 2 to 6 inches of positive ease. It is a modified drop shoulder, top down sweater. So you start with the back, shape the neck, then the front stitches are picked up and you continue on from there. I have the yarn handy for this one. I don't know what yarn I would want to use. If I would want to use my favorite hand-dyed yarn people, or find a cheaper but not less awesome yarn. We shall see once I finally get around to knitting it. I loved both examples of this sweater, both of the samples. I really want a burnt orange sweater, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do it in this one or in a different one. I haven't made up my mind yet. We shall see. Okay. Last 2 sweaters. Okay. This next one is also Wool and Pine. Spoiler alert, all 6 of these patterns come from the 2 same companies. I can't help myself, guys. I really can't. This is the Port Townsend sweater. Now you can do this in short sleeve or long sleeve, and I'm going for long sleeve because short sleeve sweaters are weird if they are not fingering weight. That's my opinion here. Okay. The Townsend sweater is DK weight. Are you sensing a theme with these DK and sport weight sweaters here? No, they're just pretty and I want them. It is a V-neck raglan, top down with 4 to 8 inches of positive ease and stripes. I love stripes. Stripes are fun. Stripes and tweed. Okay. Now you can do the recommended number of stripes in the pattern or make up your own striping sequence. I haven't decided if I want to do the thick stripes or thick and thin stripes or thin stripes. I haven't decided yet. I will decide that once I start making this thing. And again, I don't have the yarn for this one, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I have enough yarn. I don't need more. I know that's weird for a knitter to say I don't need more yarn, but I don't. And I liked the colors in the short sleeve version, but what really made me want to make it were words, okay? What made me really want to make this sweater was the long sleeve version. That just looks so comfy and so cozy, and I want it. I want it so bad. And you get a free pattern with the purchase of this Port Townsend sweater. You get the pattern for the Port Townsend beanie, and that's pretty cute too. So you might as well make a matching hat to go with your sweater. It's just a suggestion. All right, last one on my list has been updated. There are two versions, or just the original version and an updated version? I guess that is two versions. This is the Fenmont sweater. It is from Expression Fiber Arts. Again, we are not surprised. It is a sport weight sweater, top down with a yoke, and with 0 to 2 inches of positive ease. So it is a very close fitting sweater. It's fine. It is designed as a 3-color gradient in the original version. The original version uses the Twisted Tweed Sport from Expression Fiber Arts, or EFA, and the updated version uses the Buttery Sport. So the gauges are slightly different, and you use 2 different needle sizes depending on which yarn base you choose. Now, I first came across this sweater when it just had the original version. The updated version came out this year, and I really like the colors in the updated version, and I kind of want to make that one, but I also want to make the tweed, because tweed, I just realized that all 3 of the EFA patterns are tweed. I may have a tweed problem. That's not a bad thing. Okay, so the yarn that I have, 3 of them are very, very, very similar in color. I don't really see a gradient in those at all. And the last one is very dark. So here's those colors. Okay, this one is the color Fool's Gold, and the rest of these are a gradient of Fox. So this one is the Light Fox, which is very similar in color to the Fool's Gold. This one, stop it, is the normal regular fox color, which is very similar to the Light Fox and the Fool's Gold. Kind of see where my problem is here. And then this one is, I think, the Dark Fox. It's a puppy! Hi. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Yes, I love you too. Okay. Yes. Are you going to help me? You're going to help me. Okay. Anyway. So this one, what was I saying? The Dark Fox color, and kind of goes like that. I think I want the darkest color on the bottom, so it kind of looks like it's been colored, whatever, I don't know, either on the bottom or top, I don't know. The bottom, we're gonna do the darkest color that goes on the bottom. And what makes this sweater fun instead of just boring stockinette, because yes, endless stockinette is boring, and I have a really hard time finishing things that are just boring, endless stockinette. There are purl rows strategically placed, I cannot speak, throughout the pattern to give it a texture. So throughout the yoke, randomly placed in the body, on the sleeve, it makes it really fun. It will make it really fun to knit because you have this purl row or 2 to look forward to. And I'm already excited, and I have had this yarn forever. So I got them one at a time. We're three of these. Oopsies. No. These two I got to go with these two, because these two were oopsie skeins, because these are hand-dyed skeins, and something happened in the dyeing and these two weren't up to snuff, and so these were oopsie skeins. And then I got these two to kind of go with these two, and yes. So 6 things I want to make this fall. Who knows if I'll actually get through them. I think we know I'll get through one, the sweet gum cardigan. I really want that tweed cardigan. As for the others, we shall see. We hope. What are your fall knitting plans? Do you have any yet? I know it's August, but manifesting the cold weather by talking about fall knitting. That's fine. We can do it. What are your fall knitting plans? I already asked you that. I need a snack. It is almost October in like a month and a half. So do you want to pick a Rhinebeck sweater with me? Rhinebeck this year is October 19th and 20th, which is in exactly 2 months. From the time of recording, it's in exactly 2 months. Anyway, that should be enough time to start and finish a sweater, right? Because that's what people do who go to Rhinebeck, they make a sweater. So I figure we should pick one. I've narrowed it down. Okay, there are a lot of options. You don't have to do one that was designed specifically for Rhinebeck. You can make whatever sweater you want. Okay, I give you permission to make whatever sweater you want that is not specific for, like, it wasn't released for Rhinebeck. Does that make sense? Make whatever you want. Don't feel pressure. I have narrowed mine down to 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 options. Okay? So, in no particular order, let's talk about my options. The first one up is the Duval pullover from Blue Sky Fibers. Okay, this one is a worsted weight yarn. The sample uses the woolstock tweed from Blue Sky Fibers, which is 85% fine Highland wool, 25% Donegal. And I did say it's worsted weight, right? Anyway, so I really like the polka dots on this one, or the mosaic dots, as it says. It's a drop shoulder pullover, and I, along with stripes and tweed, polka dots.
I got her food. I don't care when you guys think.
And these ones, I like the uniformity of it. You can almost play that that box game, you know, where you make the polka dot lines, and then you take turns drawing a line and connecting the dots, and whoever makes the box gets to initial it, and whoever makes the most ones. It's kind of what I think of when I see this sweater. But it,
like, wow,
really
this
like
one's
it.
fabulous. She knits and talks crap.
It's tweed, which is like my favorite, and I like the dots.
All these other ones, are they like
so it uses
for the angels in
it
high above that don't ever
finished
lose
bust
socks.
measurements from 33 3/4 inches up to 67 3/4.
You think it'll just bonus points? All right, look, this is babysitting.
3/4 inches. So you got a lot of wiggle room in there. It doesn't say how much positive ease you should be looking for, but it uses quite large needles, 5.5 millimeter or 6.5 millimeter, which is US 9 and US 10.5. But I really like the sample color, that green. That is madame. I love that so much. The other colors that I would consider making this one in are the blue lichen. Let's see, the sample, what did it say? But, so the blue lichen, I really like that one. I think
Boy, look at this.
I don't know what the sample was. But then I also kind of want a burnt orange sweater too, and I think this would be really pretty in the tiger lily, which is the burnt orange in the wool-stock
It was my
tweed.
daughter's idea. She was like, why don't you throw Tabitha's
So
cat
this
in
one
here?
is at the top of the list for this tweed, obviously.
She about to come get him anyway.
It doesn't say the positive ease that you're looking for.
She'd be more than happy.
I'm not
We'll
sure
sell
about
you.
that. Oh, wait.
For a pair for
It
you for
used the color Olive Branch. That is the
she said, because
sample
don't
color,
charge them
that dark green.
for the, it's okay.
I don't know, that's very Christmassy.
Don't charge.
All right, so
just give away
a drop shoulder pullover with mosaic dots.
Then you never know who's gonna
I
get them.
think it's done in the round.
But if they pay for it, then most likely it's gonna be somebody that
Duval pullover from Blue Sky Fibers. Next option
Tabitha
comes
will
from
be picking up
Quince &
this
Co.
stuff in
This
about
is
2-3
the
days.
Wind River pullover. It was inspired by the movement of wind and water, and you can see that in the all over cables. And I really love the waviness of those cables. That is so pretty. It used the Tern from Quince & Co., which is a fingering weight yarn, so it's a fingering weight sweater. And Tern is 70-30 wool and mulberry silk. It has beautiful colors. The one that they used was Tyrian color. Looking at the other color options. Ooh, for those cables. Again, I'm partial to the greens and blues. Basalt is gorgeous. I think we do a lighter blue, maybe the Booth Bay blue. It's a lot of bees. Booth Bay blue. Very pretty color. Anyway, this sweater is drop shoulder. Again, this one done bottom up in the round until you get to the armholes, and then you split for sleeves. The yoke is done flat, and then shoulders are seamed using a 3-needle bind off. The neckband is formed by first using an I-cord bind off, and then you pick up stitches underneath the I-cord to create a ribbed neckband. So I haven't done that, so that would be a fun technique to learn on this sweater. The suggested ease is 0 to 8 inches of positive ease. So your finished measurements go from 34¼ inches all the way up to 64¾ inches. And look, just those all over cables are gorgeous. I love it. And fingering weight, so yeah, that would take forever. 2 months would be long enough for me to make that sweater though. I'm kind of speedy when I get a project that I really like and I just focus on that. Yeah, so the Wind River pullover from Quince & Co. is fingering weight. The one from Blue Sky Fibers was worsted weight. And next up is also worsted weight. This, is it worsted weight? It is worsted weight. So this comes from Hudson & West. It is the Amelia. Yeah. Are you sensing a theme? I'm not really. Well, I've got 2 cabled sweaters in here. And one with polka dots. It's fine, it's fine. Okay, so this one has a large central cable with rope twists on either side, and then basket weave stitches for the sides and arms. I think it was the basket weave stitches that drew me into this one, because I haven't done a whole lot of those, and it looks really fun. Okay, so this uses the Forge yarn. The sample used the Forge yarn from Hudson & West, which is worsted weight, and it has domestically sourced merino and Corriedale wool. So it's US-based wool. It's a 70-30 blend, and a 3-ply yarn, which is very bouncy. The size choices in this one go from 41½ inches up to 71¾ inches. That's a lot of ease there, which you want because the suggested ease is 12 inches of positive ease. The sample here was a size 2 made with 12 inches of positive ease. And that would be about right. I think that would be my size to make in this one. Is worsted weight. your needle options are, it uses a US 8 for the body. Wait, size A. I don't know what that means. It's like B for ribbing, size C for neckband. Oh, it uses 3 different needle sizes. Okay, so you have one size for the body, which is a US 8, one for the ribbing, which is a US 6, and then one for the neckband, which is a US 5. I love those twisty ropey cables. Those are so fun to do. I love them so much. Yeah, so this one is also a high contender. I like the Forge yarn. They used the orange one, which is, I think, out of stock at the time of recording, but knowing me, I would go for the blues and greens. And I like the juniper color and the evergreen, which is just slightly darker than juniper. Those would be my top 2 choices to make this sweater. I love that so much. Okay, so where are we at? We have a worsted weight from Blue Sky Fibers, fingering weight from Quince & Co., and then worsted weight again from Hudson & West. Okay, my last option I have been wanting to make ever since this pattern was released. It is the Salty Day sweater by Veronica Lindberg. I like her patterns a lot. I made 2 stripe pipe sweaters last fall. I did one in the suggested yarn weight, which was a DK. And the other one I made was Christmas colors, and that was a worsted weight, and so it's like really oversized. Yeah, I want to make it again because I like stripes. So tweed, polka dots, stripes, and cables, you're gonna get me with those classic things. Anyway, back to Salty Days sweater. So this is DK held together with mohair. She used Sandnes Garn Double Sunday, which is a DK weight, paired with the soft silk mohair from Knitting for Olive. And I haven't used either one of those brands yet. One of these days, when I'm cool, I will use those. But I love the look of this sweater. It's very classic. I love the diamonds on the top, and I love it. I love everything about it. And I don't know what color I would want to do this in. Actually, no, I lied. I do know what color I want to do this in. I want to do it in a burnt orange color, because I have been wanting a burnt orange sweater for several months now. I just haven't done it yet. I haven't found the sweater to do in burnt orange, and I think it might be this one, Salty Days. And yeah, so it has multiple sizes available, from an extra small up to a 5XL. It is, oh, I forgot to tell you something about Hudson & West. So the Amelia, we're backtracking a little bit here because my brain isn't working. Amelia from Hudson & West is made bottom up in pieces and then seamed. And sleeves are picked up at the armholes and worked from shoulder down to the cuff. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that. All right, back to Salty Days again. Okay, so it got its name from the salt fields in Portugal. And the different sections of texture look like the intricate patterns of salt flakes. Have you ever looked at salt up close? It's interesting. They're kind of like snowflakes in the way that they're all kind of different. So it's done top down with drop shoulder and extra long sleeves for that extra bit of coziness. So the yoke is worked flat while increasing for shoulder seams. Then you pick up stitches on the shoulders and then work the front yoke, and then you join it together and work in the round for the body. It has a double folded collar. I do like the collar on this one. That it's not too high, and so it's not going to feel like I'm choking. And it's also not too low, so where you can still feel the cold air coming down your neck. That's not fun. So I really like this one. And it uses a US 8 needle, so 5mm. And you don't have to use the mohair paired with it if you don't want to. You can just use the one strand of the DK weight, or you can use a worsted medium weight yarn. If you are changing which yarn you're using, if you're not using the mohair, she does suggest making a swatch I don't do that. I don't make gauge swatches. Kind of a rebel that way. I just go for it. Okay. She has several different samples here. First sample is an off-white color, and then she's got this beautiful gray, and then pink, and then rusty orange color. And that's probably what made me want to do this sweater in orange color, is that sample. But then again, I would also blues and greens, but I also have enough blues and greens in my wardrobe. I'm looking at a nearly finished sweater over there that is a blue-green color. Let's review my options. Okay, number one, the Duval pullover from Blue Sky Fibers. Okay, number two, the Wind River pullover from Quince & Co. Number three, the Amelia from Hudson & West. And number four, the Salty Day sweater from Veronica Lindbergh. Now, I want you guys to cast your votes in the comments, okay? And I would say the one that gets the most votes wins, and that's the one that I'm going to make. But that's not true, because I already picked the sweater and I already purchased the yarn for it. So, if the one that I picked ends up being number one from the comments, you know that that's the one I'm going to make. If it's not, I'm going to make my sweater anyway. Just have fun voting, okay? And whatever, okay, no, let me rephrase that. Whatever sweater is number one, I will make that one. If it's the one that I picked, then I will pick the sweater that was voted number two. Okay, if you pick a different sweater for me to make, then I will make that one. Am I making sense here? Okay, let's try this one more time. Vote for your favorite sweater down in the comments. The one that has the most votes, I will make. If it's the one that I pick, then I will make number two, the second most popular sweater. Yes, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, let's pick a Rhinebeck sweater. Okay, let's see, which one do you pick? Blue Sky Fibers, Quince & Co., Hudson & West, or Veronica Lindbergh? Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think.
With Monday.com, you can manage any type of company, even if it's real estate on Mars. One centralized platform to run every aspect of work. Monday.com, for wherever you run.
Michael's Fave Sale is here. Get our top-rated and best-selling supplies for less. Hurry, sale ends soon.
Out of the 48 projects I started in 2023, both knit and crochet, I completed 45 of them. All right, so I like to keep track of my projects in my cute little notebook here. I don't like using Ravelry for that. I much prefer pen and paper. So this bit right here that I'm holding is one page for every single project. As you can see, I have that much remaining. Yeah, so I started 48, completed 45, and I'm just realizing there's a few I didn't write down, but they were small and it's fine. Anyway, so we're going to go in order of when I wrote them down, regardless of when I finished them. This pretty notebook is from Rifle Paper Company, and when I fill these last pages, I'm going to get another one because I love it. I love having a physical copy of what I made. So first up is knit. I didn't count how many were knit and how many were crochet. That's fine, doesn't matter. Okay, so this first one I no longer have. This is the Champagne Cowl from Expression Fiber Arts. I believe I used the recommended yarn for it. I used the North DK in a color that is no longer available, but it's a pretty cowl. It's you change your knits and purls so that way it looks like it's got triangles. Since I no longer have it, can't show it to you, but I believe I took a picture of it. If I did, here's
picture of the thing. If I didn't, here's the picture of the sample from the pattern. You're gonna probably see that a lot. Anyway, I started this January 1st, 2023, finished it on January 14th. I timed this one so I could see how long it took me. Took me a total of 10 hours and 26 minutes. I did not do the full width of 17 inches. I stopped at 14 because I thought it was wide enough for it. And I love it. This yarn is merino wool and Pima cotton, so it's really super warm. My mom came to visit and she loved it, so I gave it to my mom. There's another one here that I did that too. So, love this cowl. Beautiful. I would definitely make it again. All right, turn the page. Next project. This is crochet. It was a corner to corner pattern from Repeat Crafter Me. This is for, or was for, Valentine's Day. So let me get that for you. All right, so this is a cute little table runner. It's a series of hearts. I started this January 10th, finished it on the 15th. I did time this one as well. This took me a total of 7 hours and 30 minutes. I did not do the frilled scalloped edge around the side, and I did not do the tassels on the end points because I didn't want to. I used what I had. Did I have? Yeah, I already had this in my stash. I used Lion Brand Pound of Love in the cherry color for the red, Karen Simply Soft for the pink, in soft pink, and then Lion Brand Pound of Love for the white. And this is a cute little table runner. Now, I generally am not a fan of corner to corner. It's frankly annoying is what it is. It's annoying. So if I were to do this one again, I would just do, what is it, 3 double crochets? Yeah, so each square is 3 double crochets, and I would just do that instead. Just, you know, chain and do 3 double crochets across. Because I don't like doing corner to corner. It takes forever. But this turned out so cute. I need to go put this on my table because it's almost February and I want to actually, you know, enjoy it. So there's that. Turn the page. Next up is a blanket. Oh, actually next two. Okay. This blanket is for my youngest child. My middle and my youngest decided they wanted blankets, so we found a couple patterns so they could see what they wanted it to look like. They both decided on a checkerboard pattern. So that's what we did. Once they picked their pattern, we went to Hobby Lobby so I could pick, not I could pick, they could pick the colors they wanted. Now, I used acrylic yarn because I wanted this to be machine washable because children. So they picked their yarn. I started the blanket, both of them. Well, no. Okay. So I did mitered squares of 56 stitches for these blankets, and I sewed them together when I was done. There was a lot of squares. Yeah, so the kids picked out the 2 colors they wanted for their squares and then a border color. So the blanket for my youngest, I started January 18th. Now remember, this is a whole bunch of squares. So this was my take-along project for quite a while. I did not time how long this took me because it's a blanket, so it took forever. Yeah, like forever. So January 18th, I finished it on June 8th. So just your basic mitered squares. This one was knit. I did a size US 10 for the squares. Yeah, and then the border, I did a crochet border. I used the 6mm crochet hook. Yeah, and then for my middle child, oh, I guess I need to show you the blanket, huh? That would be great. All right, so I'm not gonna unfold the whole thing because it's a freaking blanket, but this is the one for my youngest. I thankfully talked him out of doing 2 variegated colors for his squares. So he picked this one, which was Nevada Dusk, and this one is an aubergine. And then he wanted black for the border, so I did 2 rounds of single crochet for both blankets. So this is for my youngest child. They each have a twin bed, and so it's slightly smaller than their twin bed. It works out great. After I got enough squares made, we laid them out so we could figure out how big they wanted the blankets to be. And thankfully they wanted them the same size. So that one, the red one's for my youngest, and please hold. The one for my middle child, I started January 29th and finished June 7th. Now remember, I'm doing these at the same time. Whenever I get sick of one color, I would pick up and do the next color. So the colors that he picked were these ones. He picked Royal and Peacock. Yes. And then the border, he wanted silver in it, so it's the peacock color with a strand of silver going in. Loves it. They love their blankets so much, and it's adorable. They sleep with them every night. So I did the same for both blankets. I don't remember how many squares, I'm not going to count them right now. So knit the mitered squares, sewed them together at the end with the decreases all facing the same direction, and 2 rounds of single crochet on the border. And then I did another Valentine's Day table runner, but that one was a commission. I started that January 19th, finished it on January 27th. So I did the exact same thing that I did for mine. All right, I'm not going to talk about the whips. That is a, oh my God, why do I keep, that's going to be a different video. So we can skip that page. All right, now this next one, I cannot find it. It's in my kids' room somewhere. This was a crochet amigurumi. This one is a hamster. It comes from this cute little pattern book. I've got 3 of these. This Zumigurumi is what it's called. This is from book number 7. Now, I started this February 1st, and I didn't finish it until December 21st because I forgot Amazon was a thing. Yeah. Anyway, so let me get, okay, so here's the book, okay? I only have, 3, what did I say? This was number 7, I think I have number 2 and number 10, because they are adorable. So this is the little hamster. His name is Hamish. I still need to make the little strawberry, so I guess technically he's not done, but he's done, just not his accessories. It's fine. So the reason why it took me so long is I got to attaching the white cheek bits to his face, and you need the nose to do that. Well, and it's a safety nose. I could not find a pink safety nose in the size I needed for the life of me. I looked at all the local craft stores, couldn't find one. It's like, oh, okay, well, when I find one, I'll finish it for you, buddy. I forgot Amazon was a thing and you could buy, and you could get the safety noses on Amazon. I remembered around Thanksgiving. Okay. Found what I needed, ordered it, and finished the hamster in time for Christmas. Same thing with what my middle child wanted. He also wanted the toy from this book, and he wanted this cute little zebra. Okay, his name is Xander the zebra, and he needed special safety bits, 2 doll joints, because his arms and his legs move. So because I didn't find what I needed for the hamster, I didn't start the zebra because I couldn't find doll joints along with the stupid safety nose. Okay, so once I finally remembered Amazon at Thanksgiving, so I started the zebra. I need to finish his hair. I was tired. I started the zebra December 21st and finished it on Christmas Eve. Well, except for his hair. It was 11:30 at night. I had been up for 3 days making these things, and I was tired and my fingers hurt, and I just need to finish him. He's got his tail though. He's got a cute little tail. I just need to finish his hair and the strawberries, and then they will officially be done, but whatever. All right. Oh, next one is a whip. Not talking to you about that. All right, this next one is from Expression Fiber Arts. This is a crochet sweater. I started this March 21st and finished it on April 8th. This pattern called to me once it was released. I was immediately drawn to it and I wanted it so much. It was made with DK weight yarn. I was going to time this one, but I lost the time I was keeping track of because my phone decided to update itself. And I lost my timer. So I have no idea how long it took me. Like hours wise. So I used one skein of the recommended yarn, the Dewy DK, in the color Teal Appeal. The rest of it, I had single skeins of one I don't think they have anymore, called Tranquil DK, in various wintry, Christmassy themed colors. And the sample is all one color, but because I was using multiple colors, oh hi Peppy, it has a striped effect and I love it. It's I alternated colors every other row, and I used the Dewy DK from about the elbow point down to the cuff. Yeah, elbow to the cuff, the ribbing, and the neckline in the Dewy DK. What? I did the size small. All right. So here is my version of the Aylin sweater. I think I'm saying that right. Here's this one. This dark blue is the recommended yarn, but I started that about here because I ran out of one of the last colors, so it starts there. I was doing both sleeves at the same time, so I would get the same amount of stripes for each color. Yeah. So here's a picture of it on. I haven't blocked it yet. I finished it in, did I tell you this already? Started March 21st, finished it April 8th. Yeah, I haven't blocked it. I need to do that. That will probably be a warm weather project because it's cold outside. It's January. Yeah. Flying bits of yarn. Yeah, so here is the Aylin sweater. I love it. It's so squishy. It's so squishy. Okay. All right, next. I did these for Easter. My kids didn't know what I was making them, just that they had to pick a color. Now the interesting thing is I used worsted weight for both of these, and one of them came out larger. Same weight yarn, same needle size. One's bigger. So the first one is this little guy. Okay, this is the Roly Poly Bunny from Knit Picks. I started this one March 30th, finished it April 6th. I used yarn that is discontinued. It's from AC Moore. And the pink is just some red heart I had in my stash. I decided not to put the pom-pom tail on the back of it, and these went in. This went in an Easter basket. It's got cute little arms. This is a variegated yarn, and so I think the striping is interesting. He wanted to use the black and white yarn, so I did. The next was for my middle child. That was for my youngest. My middle child picked this Brava Tweed from Knit Picks in the color Wren. See, isn't he cute? Again, red heart for the ears. I started this one April 6th. I finished it April 19th. No pom-pom tail either. So here's the size difference. It's both worsted weight yarn. Same needle size. This one's bigger. Whatever. I think they're adorable. They love these little Easter bunnies. Again, it's the Roly Poly Bunny pattern. It's from Knit Picks. The next one was also another bunny. This one was for the daughter of the pottery teacher, one of the pottery teachers at the shop. I did it in pink. Yeah, I didn't write down what yarn I used. I also used the Brava Tweed. Yeah, I believe it was the rosy pink one, whatever the name of that one is. I started that one. Wait, what? That's not right. Not April 19th. I finished this one April 9th, not the 19th. What's wrong with me? Apparently I can't read my own handwriting. So I finished the one for my friend's daughter. Started April 6th, finished it April 8th. That one I did give a pom-pom tail to. She's now 10 and she loves pink and purple. Okay, so these next ones I could only find one because my kids are playing with them. So one's probably lost in their room somewhere. These are from Repeat Crafter Me. They are crochet flowers. And here's the sunflower. That's adorable. So I did these. I made these like Mother's Day or for Mother's Day or something. Or maybe it was just for Welcome Spring. So I did a sunflower, a daisy, and a tulip. I believe there's also a daffodil, but I didn't make the daffodil. I can only find the sunflower. I didn't time myself. I started the sunflower April 28th, finished it on the 30th, I think because I needed green or something. I don't know. But the daisy and the tulip I started and finished on April 30th. There is something I would do differently if I were to make these flowers again. There's nothing wrong with the pattern. It's perfectly fine. But the stem, if you're laying the flowers down flat, it's just fine. It works out how it should. If you want to put it in a vase, it does that. Because the stem is crocheted around pipe cleaners. Pipe cleaners are not very strong. If I were to do these again, I would do dowels, thin little dowels, and just like hot glue it in the top and then wrap the yarn around it so that way it would actually stay. But these are so cute. I might make some more this year. Give them to friends or something. Oh look, it's a puppy. Puppy. Okay, next is hello sunshine. Just got a squeaky pickle toy. Okay, so my middle child loves Star Wars, like a lot. So he is the reason that I bought the Star Wars knitting book from Tanis Gray. So he wanted me to make the Darth Vader sweater that's in that book, and I did. And again, I used acrylic yarn because child and I want it to be washable. So I started this June 9th, finished it July 3rd because I ran out of the black that I had, and it is hard to match. What? It is hard to match blacks. If you know, you know, because one will be like, oh look, they are, no, they're not the same. So I had to get more, I had to get more black yarn and color match it because, yeah, black yarn, guys. Okay, I did the size extra small because he's, well, at the time he was 8, but now he's 9. So I did the Hobby Lobby I Love This Yarn in black. Now, the other colors is just what I had in my stash. I believe the red and the blue was Red Heart. I'm not sure about the gray, so.
And how are the numbers looking?
We're landing at a strong 70
Ooh.
SPF.
Thanks to JetBlue's low fares, Kayla's in vacation mode already.
Here's the Darth Vader sweater.
Oh my God, that looks like a present.
See that? And just long sleeve. The hem. Now he has worn this a lot this winter, so please excuse any pilling. And it's a puppy, so please excuse the dog hair. Here's the bottom of the sweater. So the only bit that's stranded is the top here. I did have to rip it out and redo it once because my brain was dumb and decided to use the floats on the back side to make my increases. Yeah, it was puckering really, really bad. And I know better. I know better. Okay. But yeah, so the control panel and the utility belt are done in duplicate stitch. So that took a little bit, But he was so happy with it, could not wait for cold weather so he could wear it. It's adorable. Again, the Darth Vader pullover in the Star Wars knitting book by Tanis Gray, size extra small. This is done in a worsted weight yarn. All right, next page was a gift because I had a friend who was having her first baby, so therefore I made baby things. So I don't have this one anymore, obviously. If I have a picture of it, here's a picture of it. If I don't, here's the sample from the pattern. This is the Baby Bear Knit Hoodie. This is from Yarn Inspirations. I started this June 17th. I finished it June 20th. I did the size 6 months. And it has buttons. And I love the hood, the little bear ears. I used gray yarn that I had in my stash. I don't remember what it was. So that's one of the things. Squeaky pickle. All right. Now this next one has a bit of a story to it. I have a really hard time getting my husband and my oldest to wear things that I make and to, you know, actually request something. Seriously. So we finally got something that they will wear, and it ended up being a beanie with our team logo for our mountain bike team on it. I used just basic worsted weight beanie pattern and graphed out our team logo. It took me about 3 tries to get it looking how I wanted it to. And there are, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 logos going around the hat. So the first one I made for my son, I started it June 18th, finished it June 19th. Hi, can I have the pickle? I used Peyton's Canadiana in black, and I used the white that I had in my stash, which was Lion Brand Pound of Love. And this is the pattern. This is the beanie. Okay, so anyway, okay, so here's our team logo. It's a C with the number 4 inside. Hi, because it's yes, I know. Hi, honey. You give me a minute, okay? Give me a minute. Sorry. What was I saying? Oh, team logo. Because our team name has alliteration with 4 C's, so therefore C4. It is slightly slouchy because I added the stripes in it. Yeah, so I changed. Yeah. So I made one for my husband and made one for my son. And then once our mountain bike season started in July, I shared it with the team. And I made a whole bunch. So let's count, shall we? How many team beanies did I make, not including the 2 for my husband and son? Okay, now these were commissions for the team. So I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hi. Okay. Where is I? 12? 12. Okay, so I made 12 beanies for the team. I had 14 if you include the 2 for my husband and son. So like the first 6 I did with the, thank you, with the white stripes. And then like the last 6 I ended up doing hot pink stripe instead of white, because our practice jerseys and our race kits have a hot pink stripe going down the side from the armpit down to the hip, so we can know who our kids are when they're on the side of a mountain. So I added that in, not added in, changed that from the white stripe to the hot pink stripe for the last 6, and those were a big hit with with the team. And then for our end of season team dinner, we do a coach's gift. And so I made one for our head coach, but his is different, and I will not make another one like his. I still kept the C4 and the stripes, except I did something different with the stripes. I did stripes within stripes. I did barber pole stripes in the stripes with the, how many times can I say stripes? With the hot pink and the white. I think I have a picture of it. If I have a picture of his hat. Yeah, so I made 12 of those sweaters, 12 of those beanies throughout the entire season. It's a lot of beanies, guys. And it was all the Peyton's Canadiana in black with the Lion Brand's Hand of Love in the white because I had it. And the hot pink was Hobby Lobby. Yeah, because that hot pink was the closest match I could find to the hot pink on our jerseys. Race kits. All of those. Anyway, so I guess including with my husband and son and the one for our head coach, I made 15 of these beanies. And obviously I don't have them anymore because they're with the team. All right, next is a whip that we're not talking about right now. Next is, ooh, another baby gift. Okay, this one is knit also. Started this June 29th, finished it June 30th. I used the Karen baby cakes in the color Sky Gazing, and I did a size 6 months. Now there is an error on the pattern. It says that you would need 2 balls of yarn, 2 skeins, whatever, to make this sweater. I didn't even use half of one. Okay, this is the top-down knit pullover. It's from Yarnspirations. If I can find the pattern, I'll link it. We'll see. Anyway, if I have, again, since I no longer have it because it was a baby gift, if I have a picture, here's the picture. If I don't have the picture, here's the sample from the pattern, if I can find the pattern. Anyway, it was adorable. It didn't take me long at all. I still have a full skein I haven't touched, and like 3/4 of the skein that I used to make this sweater. I think I'll make some more with it, but that would be a lot of baby sweaters. Did I say size 6 months? I didn't say that. Next up, ooh, is, I was doing this for Christmas in July. It's a stocking. It's a heavily cabled stocking. It's the Peyton's Sugar Twist Knit stocking. I used yarn that I had. Basically everything is yarn that I had in my stash. I used yarn from AC Moore, which is, you know, no longer a store, so it's discontinued, in the color Deep Wine. It's a worsted weight pattern. I didn't measure it to see if it came out to what the pattern says, like dimensions wise, because I like to live dangerously and not do gauge swatches. Yeah, I should probably do those. Anyway, so I started this July 7th and finished it August 8th. It's supposed to be made on DPN, but there was no way I was going to do cables on DPNs. No. So I did 16-inch circulars until I got to the heel, and then I changed to magic loop. Yeah, so.
Grammarly now uses AI to help you write, not just revise. Type a prompt and generate a persuasive, mistake-free draft in seconds, personalized to your unique writing style. Download it for free at Grammarly.com.
Pizza, pizza.
Walk in for all your favorites during Little Caesar's Summer of Hot and Ready, like a thin crust pepperoni pizza for $7.99. No need to order ahead, just get here ASAP. That's the landing. Walk in for your hot and ready favorites like $7.99 thin crust.
It's not exactly. Here are my cute giant
3.
Those.
I'm just trying to figure out what I think. All right, here you can. I think those are 2 pieces, right? Can you put this in the fridge?
I am thinking I want to make.
No, not right now. I can put one of these in the fridge. I guess you're right. We should.
More of these stockings.
I'm
just for decorations, not to actually, you know, like use or an actual stocking, like, you know, put stuff in it, because then I would have to line it. I don't want to line it because if you put stuff in it with yarn, it'll just stretch out. So this will be a decorative stocking. I think I'll make more. We'll see. Haven't decided yet. All right. Turn the page. Next up. Ooh. You guys have seen this one. This was my Weezy sweater.
Okay, just bring it to me?
This is from the first Harry Potter Knitting Magic book by wonderful Tanis Gray. I made the size small. I started this July 18th, finished it August 1st. I timed myself on this one to see what I could do. It took me 18 hours and 14 minutes total over that time. I used yarn no longer available. I didn't do that. This is from AC Moore, the worsted weight tweed in forest green, and then for my letter I did butternut. This sweater is done in pieces, so back, front, sleeves. All right, so here's my Weasley sweater. You see my video on this sweater. The back took me 4 hours and 23 minutes to make. The front took me 4 hours. The letter is done in duplicate stitch. That took me 1 hour and 26 minutes. Sleeves, I did them 2 at a time until I got about halfway up, and then I finished them individually. And they took me a total of 6 hours. Seaming the shoulders and making the neckband took me 24 minutes. Then seaming the sleeves and the sides took me about 2 hours and 1 minute. Yeah. So if I were to make this again, which I totally would.
I'm done. I'm going to
It sounded like somebody came home, but it was just.
I'm starving.
I don't know what it was. Nobody's home.
I don't know if it was a cold, but yeah, my whole mouth was
totally
lit
on a giant
fire.
I would make it more oversized.
I'm pretty
for me,
sure.
personally.
I also got crab
My gauge is on.
or at least it's sensitive
This was
to
one of the
sweets.
two.
I'm also diabetic, so gotta watch what I eat.
That I made a gauge swatch.
Okay. What do we have here?
Yeah.
Darker sauce.
So, I will definitely make another Weasley
Okay, I
sweater.
hope I don't insult Mr. Griffin.
And I want to. Next.
I'm sorry if there's anybody out there who's hungry right now, but
this is from. And again,
so
I don't have this anymore. This is the Golden Snitch Baby Blanket from the Crochet Harry Potter book.
I also got some
started this
crab
August
right
3rd, finished it October 18th. It's a bunch of single crochet.
Make it. I got the brown sauce too.
It takes forever.
Nothing in here for
so
you,
I
lady.
used Karen 1 pound in soft gray and white. So soft gray for the blanket, white for the wings of the snitch, and then I used Karen Simply Soft Gold for the golden snitch, obviously. Again, since I don't have it anymore, if I have a picture, here's the picture. If I don't have a picture
Is
of it,
it me or do you guys hate the crabs?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
it's like if it's mostly bread, I kind of think it defeats the purpose.
It was adorable, and it took me a long time.
I don't want like hard bread, hard
Once
fried
you reach
bread.
the halfway point, you're like, oh.
And then there's the crab meat
and then you can
inside.
finish it.
We'll try
So
this
I did.
one. This one looks
That's what took me so long.
It's good.
All right. Oh, and then
Say my Lord's Prayer. Sorry, guys. Excuse me. Not sorry. Excuse me.
Okay. I did a video on this one. This was for, this was from
And when I resume, I will be washing my hands.
Hogwarts Express towel.
So for now, this is Watch This Lady. I'll put in my 2 cents. I'm going to mute it for now.
I used Knit
That way you
Picks
guys
Rubber
don't have to hear
Tweed
me crunching.
in the colors Poinsettia and Elderberry.
Yeah.
Okay. There was an issue with the top of the cowl. The bottom is more tight than the top. The top flares a bit. It was fun to make. I had fun with this. It is stranded, and I didn't want to mark up my book, so I got a copy made so I could mark that up. For every row that I finished, I crossed it off. So it's a train, because it's the Hogwarts Express. So train on the bridge, just a long train. Okay. And the clouds are duplicate stitch. They're not clouds. I did that last time too. They are not clouds. They are the smoke puffs, because it's a steam train. Coal power, whatever. The smoke puffs from the train. They're not freaking clouds. So it's a cute cowl. It's just, as you can see, it's not shaped how it should be shaped. It's fine. We'll leave it that way. I didn't time myself. I think I stopped timing myself after Weasley sweater.
I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, I think that was my.
I'm so grateful.
I only did 2 Harry Potter knits last year. Yeah. Next, Team Beanie. Here's hope. Team Beanie. Team Beanie. Team Beanie. Team Beanie. 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 Okay, so from middle of August to beginning of October, all I made was Team Beanies. So all of September, half of August, and October 3rd. I made Team Beanies. Oh, no, sorry, October 4th. No, 6th. October 6th. Yeah. To October 6th, I was making Team Beanies. So that occupied my entire time. All right, so next one that is not a Team Beanie, I no longer have, but there's a video on it. It's the Mina Capelet from Expression Fiber Arts. I started this October 1st, finished it October 13th, and I used the suggested yarn, the Expression Fiber Arts Buttery Bulky in the colorway All About Autumn. This is a lovely warm stretchy yarn, and I love the colorway because, you know, fall leaves. My mom came to visit a little while ago. When did I give it to her? Beginning of January? Beginning of January. So I gave it to my mom. Here's a picture of it because I no longer have it. So
This FDA-cleared device is taking the world by storm. It helps relieve neck pain quickly and assists in reducing that bulging neck hump effectively. When you sit at your office desk or use your phone, your head protrudes forward. And for every inch your head protrudes forward, 9 kilos of pressure is being applied to your neck region. It's the equivalent of a bowling ball. Over time.
Yeah. Yeah, she wanted something to cover the back of her neck, but not be a scarf or a cowl. She already had the cowl. I don't know. So I gave her the capelet, and she loves it. Oh, look. Team Beanie. Team Beanie. Okay. Next up, I also have a video on this one. I wanted something for Halloween. So I made socks. These come from the book Charming Colorwork Socks by what's her name? By Charlotte Stone. You can find her on Instagram as Stone Knits. Love following her. Her cat gets up to shenanigans. Anyway, so I got that book for myself for Christmas 2022. So my first pair of socks out of that book was the Baddie for Halloween socks. So I don't have sock blockers, so you won't be able to, well, if I put it up my hand, you might be able to see it. Anyway, here's the bats. Aren't they cute? And then it's contrasting heels and toes. So I picked a yarn colorway that reminded me of sunsets. I got it at one of my local yarn shops. Not including the one I occasionally teach at. I have 3, like within 15 minutes of my house. So I started these October 19th, finished it October 29th, and according to her sizes, I made the size 1. So the colorway I picked is a local to me dyer. Yeah, local to me dyer. Knitted Niceties. Don't remember the colorway name. The label's over in my box somewhere, and I don't want to go find it. But I have leftovers, and I love these socks so much. I wore them for Halloween. I love them. I will make some more socks out of that book. I just haven't picked one yet. All right, turn the page. I think this was my most favorite make of last year. I used leftover yarn for this one. I started it on Halloween, October 31st, and I finished it November 11th, and I made the size medium. This is a DK weight pattern. So I used leftovers of North DK from Expression Fiber Arts. I had a main color that I had full skeins of that I hadn't used yet, and I think I still have some of that left. And then all the other colors were leftovers from other things, that same yarn. None of these colors are available anymore.
Pretty
They
good
have
too.
different ones now. They're so pretty. Anyway,
Yeah,
I made the stripe hype sweater from Veronica Lindbergh. This is one of 3 sweaters that I made in the month of November of 2023. So here's my stripe hype sweater.
I don't want to torture you guys with hearing it crunch. But even the meat in the center is good.
Yeah. Let's see. I have worn this so
The
much.
meat is fresh.
It's my favorite. I love it. So the North DK is a merino wool and Pima cotton blend. It's, I think, 70-30. And it's just so soft and so warm. So this dark gray was my main color. The hardest bit was picking which colors to go that went where. I think there was one I didn't use. I've worn it so much it's pilling. I need to get one of those shaver things. So I started with the purple stripes, and then I did black. I ran out of black, so that is completely gone. And I finished off my last black stripe with the red and used up all the red and had to finish up my last red stripe with this cute like raspberry color. So I used the raspberry color as the pop of color on the hem and the cuff and the neckline. So that is according to pattern. She did pops of color for those, and I loved it so much. The sleeves, I did blue for my first color, and then this creamy white, which was left over from the champagne cowl, the first project I made in the year. Yeah, I think I even still have some of that left too. Yeah. So I still have some of the purple, the blue, the light gray. I might have some of the dark gray, and I know I have some more of this raspberry color. So I just need another project that I can use up. This is my favorite sweater so much. I love stripes. Stripes are my favorite. If you haven't made this pattern yet, you should, because stripes, it's adorable. I haven't seen all the different colors that people have done because, again, I don't like Ravelry. But what's her name? Taylor from Wool Needles Hands. She did hers in a mustardy color and a cream. Hers looks amazing. So she's like the only other person that I know that did stripe hype. Anyway, so my stripe hype, my favorite color. I did the size medium. Favorite color, favorite sweater. I did size medium, and it fits me perfectly, and it's, you know, perfectly boxy, slightly oversized how it should be, and I love it so much. So turn the page. Next project. Next project is a beanie for the head coach. That took me a day. Well, 2 days. I started it halfway through day 1 and finished it day 2. Anyway, next up is the Lumi sweater from Lion Brand. It was one of the ones I wanted to make for my fall knitting plans. Yeah. Fall knitting plans. So I did this one. I started it November 14th, finished it November 27th, and I used the suggested yarn, the Lion Brand Feels Like Butter, in Rainy Day. If I were to make this one again, I would not use this yarn because I hate this yarn. I do not love this yarn. I hate this yarn. It's polyester, and it sucks the moisture out of my hands. It's like the blanket yarn. I detest blanket yarn. Do not ask me to make anything in blanket yarn, okay? All right, so this sweater is knit inside out. So the purl side is actually the right side, and the knit side is the wrong side. So I was getting sick of the yarn. I didn't want to touch it anymore. So I cropped my sweater. Instead of making it full length to the hips, I cropped it to about my rib cage. So I wanted it to go over dresses, and I have worn it over dresses and over t-shirts when I need just a little extra layer. So it comes.
Your one smart shop for back to school. More fashion, bigger savings. JCPenney, make it count.
Konti na lang natitira sa yarn ko. Bali, meron pa naman extra dito. Ay, ito pala. Oo, yun. I have another project here. This is also cotton yarn, but this is actually a thread. It's a fine thread. I'm making corner to corner.
Sorry.
So I'm already there.
If you're hungry, you know.
It's too small. I need to make it more bigger. I mean, longer, not bigger. Longer. Keep pulling it. Okay.
Save the hours. I hate that.
That's where it's sitting.
Oh, maybe the soup could use a little bit less salt. It's fine. Still tastes fresh. Not that much they usually taste how it is on that way. And actually, a really nice to me when I call. When I don't go on a long time, I tell them I was on a diet. A diet of being broke. The broke diet. That's so cool. I'm knitting the color that she's wearing. You guys like my birds. You see, like, right now it would be like dead silent if I wasn't just my lips smacking. But, again, thank you so much for enduring with me. I normally don't do this a lot, but, I mean, my daughter said this is called a mukbang. Mukbang. And, definitely not a mukbang. This is a form for a get well better seeing meal. Maybe London training all the ways. And yesterday I felt like crap. And today, I don't feel brand new, but I feel 1,000 times better. She's been on for an hour knitting. I've been on for like, what, 2, 3 hours? It's good. We found each other. I'm going to shut up for a second. I'm not trying to break one of these little slippery suckers in here. It's hard. Once you eat it, let's see what I'm talking about. See? Finally got it broken. I need it. Or no. It's the whole thing. looking at me because you think you want me. Alright. You got enough of problem now. You gotta hear me speak. My daughter said to stop around asking what I don't what they are called. Characters. What do you type of character? Yes? Right. Yeah, that's it. The hardest part. And I know what you're gonna say. Why don't I be a greedy fat slob and put the whole thing in my mouth? Isn't it? Fuck you. Or tell me it. Tell me better than 3, 2, 1. All of it better than that. Yeah. You know, I'm gonna have to put this like this. My body's like, you know what? I can use some more. I can use some. And I'm not gonna force you guys go watch it. Go ahead. Oh.
Social media. No, hindi ko pala ni-share. Share ko muna ito. Presenting! Ta-da! Bakit ganyan ang itsura?
I said she has a nice setup right there. She definitely knows how to use this stuff better than I do.
Bakit ang liit? Ang liit. Ayun. Ayan na. Hey Rick, good morning! Kamusta kuya? Mega love shoutout po. Salamat sa pagpunta sa live ko, Kuya Rick. Kamusta ang umaga? Ay, ibababa ko nga pala yung ano ni Kuya Rick. Pa-support po ako kay Kuya Rick. Bago lang po yung channel niya. Saglit lang Kuya Rick, ha? Ito yung channel mo, di ba, Kuya Rick? Oo, yan nga. Ayan, mag-play all na naman ako sa iyo. Oh, may bago ka pala dito. Good morning po. Maggatas po muna. O sige, maggatas muna.
Good morning. It's late night, baby. I forgot. She might be in another country. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm making one of these for a friend of mine. She said black. And black is the best. Goes with everything. It doesn't get dirty. more.